Hello, listeners. Welcome back to a Meandering Mixtape, a production of Tolt Records. I am Ryan with Tolt Records, and I am excited to have on the stage, which we'll talk about in just a second, with me today, Travis and the famous Morgan of Morgan Henley Presents. And we are on the hippie stage at Club Tolt because this episode, a very special episode, we are going to talk all about the Brody Nation Music Festival, the location of the Brody Nation Music Festival at Club Tolt, the history of Club Tolt, and Morgan's going to tell us a few stories.
We're going to talk some stories, bud.
Maybe a few, maybe more than a few.
Oh, this is definitely going to be meander hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of hard meandering.
Yeah. And the Meandering Mixtape is all about meandering.
Yes.
And so this is a perfect time to meander.
Well, we meander all over this property, Club Tolt, and we have for decades, so it's perfect. It's a great fit.
You're really going to need to introduce the fans out here, all the birds, so if you can name them all real quick.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know.
All right.
No,
There's Robin.
There's a robin. There we go.
Yeah.
Stellar J somewhere, too.
Yeah.
Could hear him earlier.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're a bird watcher, come out to Brody Nation Music Festival.
Oh, dude, they're thriving right now.
Oh, yeah.
And get up early before the music.
But watch out for Falco or the chicken.
We'll get to
Mess
that.
you
She's a
up.
slayer, dude.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Heidi just found 3 mice carcasses in her pen. She's just slaying mice all night.
Wow.
Yeah. Savage, dude. 8-year-old chicken.
Look at that, dude. I just
Falcor.
meandered us. Just bam. Look at
There you
that
go.
bird.
We got to
Here
throw Falcor in
Here
there.
we go.
All right.
All right.
So take us back to 1959, the
Well,
furthest back record I could find about this place.
I definitely wasn't here then.
Oh,
Yeah. Surprisingly, I'm not that old. We weren't here then. That was, I believe, the first owners were the Decker family. Gosh, now I'm blanking on their names. Shirley, I believe,
and here, real quick, here is
Club Tolt
Club Tolt, which
on the
is
Tolt River.
on the Tolt River in the beautiful city of Carnation,
The 425's best city
best city.
Yes.
Carnation
Russia.
voted by the people.
by the people.
some
the
of our
people.
listeners as well.
425 magazine.
Yeah,
It
and
was wild.
yeah, so
Crazy.
which the Seattle Times voting just ended. So
Yeah, but
unfortunately,
there isn't a best city in that one.
well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to win it anyways.
Yeah, for
so
sure. I mean,
that's a good
come on.
reason not to even waste people's time. But in beautiful Carnation, and by the way, we are outside. We are on the hippie stage. It is an absolutely beautiful day here. My car said it was like 80 degrees, which is like 26, 27 Celsius for those that use that. And behind the camera this time around, which is why Morgan looks beautiful, Travis looks beautiful, and I look like my normal self. Behind the camera is Brian Babinick of Brian Babinick Media. Thank you, Brian, for coming out and helping us make sure that we capture all the wonderful beauty
It's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait.
and amazing history of the hippie stage.
The light looks real good right now.
It does.
coming through
This
the
is
stage.
you picked
Yeah.
a good time.
Took the tarp off
I was trying to
yesterday.
get the morning light, which Travis knows all about, and you're like, no, too early. And
right
also,
over
I got
us.
something to do this afternoon, so get here at
Yes.
noon and let's shoot this thing. So
Yeah.
we are about 1:00. Sun is good. Though.
prime-
I'm glad
prime
we got a
time.
little
It
delay.
was perfect.
So original owners going back
We're
1959.
the Deckers, which is the Decker family has been here for decades. I went to school with their grandchildren and great-grandchildren and probably. So my dad moved. I don't really know much, of course, about the time where they owned it, but my dad moved here in 1970, and he rented from them for a couple years, 3-4 years, something like that, and then eventually ended up buying the property from him. Yeah.
And your dad originally was up Duval, or was he here first?
He was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota, Catholic military school. He went to university and ended up graduating from the University of Minnesota with an English major and literature minor, I believe. And then he got drafted during NAM and went to Germany. He was stationed in Germany. Luckily, he wasn't one of the boys that they sent to Vietnam. And he wrote for the Army paper there, Stars and Stripes, I think it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when he got out, he went to his drill sergeant's office threw his razor down on the desk, and the drill sergeant looked at him and was like, Henley, what are you doing? And he's like, I won't be needing that anymore. And he left, and he hit the road, and he traveled all over Europe, went to France for a while, was there for a little bit. That was the last place he shaved. He shaved one more time after he got out of the military. And then he made the hippie pilgrimage to India and traveled through Czechoslovakia and Greece, I believe, into Turkey, and then through Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan and Pakistan, and then eventually into India, where he was for some amount of months. And he basically hitchhiked and met up with some groups of people, and they traveled together. And I think he took the train a couple times and walked.
Just through India.
Yeah, he was living in India for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's early to have those.
This was like 69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know
68,
people who
69.
still do that. It's rare.
Well,
that.
I mean, you can't walk through a number of those countries that I just
Well, that's
mentioned
true,
being
too.
a white
Yeah,
American male.
would not advise.
Yeah,
would not
it's
advise right now.
I mean,
yeah.
this was before Russia invaded Afghanistan, and basically everything went downhill from there. So
Yeah.
he was lucky; he made it through there before that. He was a photographer. He captured the whole thing, and his Kodachrome slides are just out of this world. But that's for a different podcast. And then he got sick there because he wasn't living a healthy life for many months there, traveling, and his dad insisted that he came home, so he came home, and then he was in Minnesota for a little bit, and then he wanted to move out west. He'd always wanted to live on the West Coast, I guess. So he was in California for a little bit, down in the Bay Area, northern Bay Area, and then I don't know. I've heard a couple stories on how he chose this place, but the one I like to tell, and I'm going to tell right now, is he met somebody, and he told them that he was thinking about buying property in California, and they're like, no, you need to go to Duval, Washington. That's where all the hippies are going. So he came up here, and he went to Duval, and of course fell in love with it, because back then it was a very hippie place, thriving arts and cultural scene, and he found this property on, I can't remember what billboard it was on, one of the establishments in Carnation. He found just a listing on a billboard, and he contacted the Deckers and came down and met them, and that was it. I guess that's history.
Yeah.
And then he, like I said, rented from him for a little bit, and then ended up buying the property.
So we're in the Snoqualmie Valley,
Correct.
which you talk about the lower valley, the upper valley, and from a hippie mecca
Yes.
at some point in Duval. Give us sort of the
Well,
geography and how you think that came about, or what was the vibe, what was going on that made it so.
Well, I think the apex of the hippie movement in Duval was the piano drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, which my dad wasn't here for. That was 2 years before he got here. But my hippie godfather, as some have called him, Larry Vanover, who made this sign actually right behind us here, this Henley Herbalist, Dr. Henley Herbalist sign. That's the Larry Vanover original. That's one of the longest hanging things on this stage, too. He and Gary Horn, who both of them have passed away now, they were the creators of the idea for the piano drop. I guess it was Larry's idea. He wanted to drop a piano from a helicopter. And then Gary worked at Crab Radio, which was 107.7 back in the day. And they teamed up and they put on this festival. Country Joe and the Fish was the biggest band that played it, but there was a whole bunch more. And it was out on Larry's property in Cherry Valley Road, just north of Duval. And like 3,000 people came to this event, and the road was backed up all the way down Cherry Valley to Duval, and people just got out of their cars and left them and walked in, and it was hippie mayhem, like a Woodstock, but on a way smaller level, right? Because they did that at Woodstock too. They just left cars everywhere. So then they did drop a piano from a helicopter. Larry was in the helicopter. And, nobody died. So
That's good.
it was considered a
positive.
success.
It's very positive.
The piano's guts, actually, the metal part, like which is right over there too. That's not it though. That's a different piano. It's in Duval in the storage unit. I've seen it before.
Yeah,
Pretty
the harp.
epic.
They bring it out
We
every
had
now
it
and then.
here. When did we?
We
had
had it
the
at
harp
the
here.
Carnation block party.
Yeah.
The
last
block
year.
party. Okay.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
I thought we had it here for some reason.
But that kind of, I think that attracted some hippies. There was definitely a movement after that coming out here, from what I'm told. But when I was a kid, I was born in '81, and I just remember in the summer months and the nice months, we'd be going to different houses throughout the Lower Valley. And the Lower Valley is basically Duval, Carnation, Fall City too.
Yeah.
Because there were just different like hippie compounds around, and there'd be live music and potluck and gathering, and me as a kid running around with a whole bunch of other kids, and yeah, so there were multiple different places around. There was the River Farm was one of them. The Blue House, I believe, was one of them, and I also heard a story where Led Zeppelin stayed there, or not Led Zeppelin, Leonard Skinner stayed there for 2 days when they were here on tour. And then what was I can't remember.
And do you remember the
Funny Farm?
Yeah.
That was another one.
Do you remember?
And then this was the Hen House.
This was the hen house. Okay.
Yes. That was the first name.
Okay. I mean,
Hippie hen house. Yeah.
Dr. Henley, herbalist.
Well,
You're
yes.
going to be at the hen house.
Well, there were copious amounts of marijuana being grown here too back then.
Yeah.
A lot.
We are in a very agriculturally
Yes.
positive area.
Well, my dad brought back seeds from Afghanistan.
Oh, okay.
So they were growing like real Afghan Kush here, like 14-foot tall plants and stuff.
Terpene town, baby.
One of my favorite photos is my dad holding me in his left arm, I think, and I have a bottle. I'm like, I don't know, well, a year and a half. And then the other arm, he's got a weed plant that he just uprooted on his other shoulder. It's the most hippie photo I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, so the hen house was back there. He built that years ago in the 70s at some point. And there was a hen house, a part of it.
Nice.
It was a shop and a hen house. He used to have a lot of chickens. So he had Captain Chicken was one of his nicknames. The hen house was this place. Yeah.
And at these events, because I notice a lot of, you kind of see the same bands. There's kind of your staples that everybody, was it similar? Like as a kid running around, did you like know all the band members as you went?
Yeah, and a lot of them are still alive too. Well, not a lot of them. I shouldn't, unfortunately we're getting older. But Denny Redmond, Douglas Johnston, Orville Johnson, there's a whole bunch of them. Pat Brome, all these old timers, that we still have play at our events, like the Block Party, Carnation Block Party. We just had the Woots there.
Yeah.
I remember pretty much all of those people on that stage throughout my life, playing music here on this stage and other places. And that's a huge honor. It honestly trips me out. It did at the Block Party. It does every time I book them. That, I'm basically doing what my dad used to do.
Yeah.
Taking photos and booking them at places.
Pretty cool
And
life.
it's pretty, it's an interesting generational thing. And it's a huge honor to be able to be still working with those amazing human beings and people that have played a big part in the culture and history of this Lower Valley.
And so we go from the hen house to Club Tolt.
Well, it was Farm Out before that.
Farm Out,
It was Yard Art.
Yard Art,
was-
okay.
Club Told, I think, came around in the early 2000s, and it was mainly a volleyball thing.
Okay.
Because we did volleyball here for 26 years.
There's a sand pit right over
Yeah.
there.
It's kind of more dirt now. Seal and Robert.
Lot
more
more
came down
minerals,
and-
right? Yeah.
Yeah, just came down and rototilled it last night. So,
Oh, nice.
but you can still, you can still dive around in that. Volleyball is definitely something I want to bring back. But we've been doing, 26 years. My whole life growing up, we played volleyball every Sunday. A lot of my friends, when we were in our teens and early 20s, it was a thing. It was what we did every single Sunday. Look forward to it all week. We'd come out here, play volleyball, listen to tunes. Sometimes we'd have a live act on here during volleyball. It was an amazing thing to experience, formative for sure. But we stopped doing it when the Seahawks got good.
Yeah.
Basically, the Seahawks killed valley ball is what we called it.
Seahawks killed a lot of Sunday
God
traditions.
damn it! I've been stung again by another
When they
bee, dude.
started winning.
That's the second little
Really?
bastard that's got me today.
Yeah, he bit you.
Yeah, he did.
That's a poser bee.
But yeah, because it was around 2012 was the last one we had. The last year we did volleyball because people didn't want to play volleyball; they wanted to watch the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Damn Russell Wilson.
Legion of Boom. Let's go.
Legion of
Watching
Boom.
Chancellor.
But I mean, honestly,
Destroy
I didn't
people.
want to play volleyball either. I wanted to watch the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Can't really blame him that much.
10 a.m. on a Sunday, watching them destroy
But
people.
real quick, Farm Out was just something that I think my dad created because he liked it, and they did a whole bunch of imagery with it, and it was, there's a whole bunch of cool imagery that he did with all the hippie artists back then, and then Yard Art, which is the sign right there, that used to be by the mailbox, and that's what all the statues are.
Yeah.
So Kenny Chapman was a Valley born and raised dude, and he was the woodcarver that adorned our property with all these amazing sculptures. And this goddamn bee. Get out of here, dude. He, where were we? Kenny?
Kenny Chapman.
Yeah. So my whole life growing up here too, I remember Kenny carving right over there. He had a carving spot, and we also used to own property up the road a little bit too, where he had a carving spot. And then people would come here for Yard Art, and they'd do the tour of the property, buy a statue or not, maybe talk to him about a statue they want, and then he'd carve it for them. And then around the early 2000s, he just decided he didn't want to carve wood anymore, and he figured that this was the best place for him, so he left him here. Which really, I mean, where is he going to take 200 carvings to?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But it's a huge piece of this property. It adds to the wonderment of the place, and their Mother Nature is taking many of them back, but it also through that process kind of adds a really cool motif to it as well. And yeah, Club Tolt was, like I said, for volleyball. That's pretty much what it was, and it was.
And that name stuck.
Yeah, we just kept it.
Okay.
Yeah, it felt right. It confuses people on the internet for sure.
Oh yeah.
They think it's like a club.
That's all I saw.
Yeah.
I just saw Stewie Griffins.
Yeah.
Now, what may confuse people is Tolt, right? Because
Yeah.
because for those that don't know, Carnation and Tolt are the same thing.
It was Carnation was called Tolt at two different times, I believe, in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Carnation. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Carnation won out.
And it has one out, but if we ever get time, we will make Carnation Tolt again, I think.
I think that'd be rad, but that's a lot of money.
Oof.
Well, that's how Tolt Records came about, though.
I've talked to some people at the city about it, and they don't seem very interested.
No. I mean, now that they're not making instant breakfast over here anymore, maybe
Yeah.
it's time.
Totally.
Bring
I'd
back
be
the
down.
instant breakfast.
But we
please.
keep the Tolt alive here at Club Tolt.
Yes.
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 And I went in yesterday for the first time this year. It was amazing.
It's nice.
And the festivals in the valley that your parents were part of, was it as regular as Brody, or were they more ad hoc pop up? Like, were people?
No, they were planned. My dad would do multiple shows each summer. We had, also like potlucks. And like I said, some of the volleyballs had live music. They were big. Like my dad would do usually one or two volleyballs a year that were bigger than normal. The end of the year awards ceremony, we had awards. It was awesome. Yeah, it was a big deal, dude, for many years. Volleyball was just
You had a
a
bracket,
very unique endeavor.
bracket, the whole deal.
We did. I mean, we'd have tournaments. Sometimes we'd have like 8 teams down here of 6 people.
Wow.
Like there were 100, more than 100 people here some of the Sundays for sure. Well, more than 100. But, yeah, we had ballots that my dad would put out like 2 months before. October is when the award ceremony was. But yeah, 4th of July party was the big thing that my dad started with. That was in 1982 was the first one, and he did that every year for quite a while. And then he started to spin off and do an August party, and he'd do a September party sometimes. It was just really whenever Henley felt like having people over. in putting bands on the stage. Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about the wood carvings, but when I walk around, it's very. I mean, you were a mixed media, so it was all arts.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, and the artwork that's here, what's on the stage, it's just a collection of history, especially if you're from this area. You know, got the Rainier signs and
We got the Pete's sign there, the
Yeah.
old Pete's Club sign.
a lot of Sonics colors,
Oh yeah,
a lot of.
love the Sonics. Can't wait till they come back.
So, what are some of your favorite pieces?
On the stage here?
Well, on the property. I mean,
Well, I mean Gandalf over there, the wizard, that's definitely one of my favorites. The totem pole over there, that's the biggest piece on the property. I love that one too. The mermaid down at the river, that's a special one because she came back to us.
yeah.
We lost her in the '09 flood. She went almost to town and was found by Peggy Berquist in a log jam like 2 years later after the flood.
Wow.
And she knew where it came from, of course, so she called up here and the hippies went and got her and brought her home. That was my dad's favorite statue after that moment.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Dude, that's like 5 miles on the river.
Oh yeah.
That statue floated without getting snagged.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
On that river.
it's nuts. On the stage, though, I like, the local color sign there. That was the first thing ever put on the stage. That's literally been hanging on this stage for 36 years. Never been moved. Yeah.
And the stage has been here
Since
kind of
'89.
Yeah.
There was a stage over there, kind of a makeshift stage, not as solid as this, pointed at us, and then the volleyball court was going the other way. And then in '88, '89, they erected this and changed the position of the volleyball court too.
And there have been many an act on this stage. It's a coveted place to be, quite honestly.
There's been thousands of musicians that have played on this stage at this point.
It's sort of a rite of passage as you come through the valley, I think.
It's become, Brody and this stage has become like the Pacific, Seattle music scene's Pacific Northwest Musicians Festival. Get a lot of submissions every year, and more and more musicians reach out to me about it, and that they hear from their friends that played here, and yeah, they definitely won on. And one of the hardest things about this, man, is telling some of these acts that I don't have room.
Yeah.
It sucks, dude. I hate it because I can tell that they want in super bad. So that's definitely not one of the highlights of my job. But for the ones that get on the stage, I can tell it means a lot to them.
And the artwork, as I look around, some of it just sort of showed up here organically, like some of the wood carvings that came back because you had a good space for them.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff here is very intentional, like I think some of the license plates and
49. We got 49 of them.
yeah.
And the District of Columbia, but we do not have the elusive West Virginia,
We'll have to.
which I have been looking for at antique shops for 7 years now. And I got to dig it. I can't. It's like vinyl. I gotta.
You gotta find it, right? You can't.
It's too deep into the process at this point.
And some of my, when I talk, so I see Morgan in town, like a lot of us do, and every now and then he'll come in and it's like, oh, I uncovered this, I found this on the property, right? And it becomes, and so in fact, we were walking the property earlier this year and like, where should this go? What should this be, up against? And so it is curated at this point, I would say.
Yeah, there's I often have things that I need to hang, and I take my time, and I try to let it come to me when it's right. I'll know,
Yeah.
But
And you gotta know the property's a living thing.
it's a living, breathing piece of history for sure.
Yeah. So you gotta treat it right and put things where it wants to be. And
Yeah,
yeah,
you don't want to mess up the juju.
that's for sure.
The hippie gods will show you that their discomfort through dropping a drill on me.
Well, I'm glad you're healing up well,
Yes,
sir.
thank you.
Yes. So
That was more my fault than anything, but whatever. Blame it on the hippie gods.
So more modern history, Brody Nation Music Festival.
Yes.
That was an idea, a thought, a passing running. How did this come about?
So the story of Brody is obviously we've talked about the history of this property. When I was in high school, this is where we'd come party. I had a band here my sophomore year called Alki Diggins, and they were the high school Duval Carnation band. They were super good. They were grungy, Seattle kind of rock there for the mid '90s. And I can't remember how it came about because that was a long time ago, but somehow the idea came up of them playing here on the stage, and we did that. And before that, I had some trouble in high school where I was a freshman and I got beat up and Charlie horsed and picked on and stuff. But the moment after I had that show here, that never happened again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The power of music
The power of music. Literally saved my thighs
elevates all of us.
in high school. I was never Charlie horsed again.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't.
This
wow,
stage literally changed my my high school life.
That was the first time I've heard that story.
Yeah. So we did that, and then I think my junior year they played here again, and that was the first time that I'd ever booked music on this stage. And then in my late teens, early 20s, we were, me and a bunch of my buddies thought that we were going to be DJs, and some of them, actually did make somewhat of a career out of it. But we would have like DJ parties here and stuff like that. And then around 2006, we used to go see this band called The Mob Law at the High Dive in Fremont every Wednesday. And at this moment in time, I lived in Kirkland, so we just jumped. Most of my friends and I lived in Kirkland. We'd moved out of the valley. And we would jump over the bridge every Wednesday, go to the High Dive, see this band. We got to know the band. And my buddy Kainoa and I, we had this idea one day of having the Mob Law play here. And so we asked them, and they were, of course, totally down. And 4th of July 2006 was the first event here, and there were like 4 bands, I believe. One was the Deaf Eyes, and they were a local Upper Valley band at that time, which is Snoqualmie and North End. Upper Valley, Clarity. Go up the hill.
The Snoqualmie Falls is the cutoff.
Yes.
So upper, above the Snoqualmie Falls, lower, below the Snoqualmie Falls.
Travis with the geographical knowledge.
It helps because we're going worldwide with this thing.
Totally.
So yeah,
Yeah, you want to get that. You want to get your facts correct these
Yes.
days.
Oh, totally.
absolutely.
So the Deaf Eyes. Then we had, we had a band called School Bus Bar Fight.
All right.
Yes.
Wow.
That were some buddies of mine. Some younger cats than me that I went to high school with. They had the hit Raccoon Fight. That was a classic jam.
I'm getting a theme.
The hit.
A theme with this band.
I can't remember the
Raccoon
other.
Fight.
Oh man, I wish.
That's a.
Raccoon Fight's the only one I remember now. They had another one though that was hilarious.
What was their genre? It had to have been
It
punk
was
or something.
Well, it all derived from this place called Crimson Manor,
Okay.
where they all lived, which was like kind of in the woods off of Avondale, I believe, which probably isn't woods anymore.
So there's
But it was this
woods there
super
now.
cool house. It was crimson, and it was, the layout and the architecture of it was really cool. But they basically, the band basically lived there, and this band, School Bus Bar Fight, derived out of that house. And so I think they opened, and then the Deaf Eyes played, and then we had the Missing Players, which was one of the best bands there was in Seattle at that point. They were a 3-piece, and Julian Yakubazzi was the singer and flute player, and at the keys too. Did he play keys? I think he did, but a long time ago. He was a year older than me in school, but that was his band, and they and Sandy Rowe, who you guys know, that was how I met Sandy. But they were friends with the Mob Law, and that was just basically a huge party in our backyard with some kegs and 4 bands, and we wanted to give it a name, so we started thinking of festival names for it, and we were thinking of like Tolt Stock or Valley Palooza or something like that, but of course those sound stupid, so we didn't do those.
Knockoffs.
And
Yeah.
one day my buddy Aaron O'Neill, one of the original Brodies, he called me and he knew we were looking for a name, and he's like, dude, I got the name. And I'm like, all right, buddy, shoot. And he goes, Brody Nation. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the word Brody, is basically a term of endearment, right? So it's what my buddies and I, my core friend group, called each other back in the day was Brody instead of like dude, man, or buddy. But it took like this whole other realm where we turned it into like a way of life, and we started the Brody's production company after the first Brody, and we had a logo that was basically a ripoff of Major League Baseball's emblem, but me pounding a Coors Light,
which you just posted on social media.
Yeah, we were called
following along.
the MLP, Major League Partiers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, the beginning of Brody was definitely derived in rage partying,
Which you were into pretty decently.
Oh,
I think.
I was a professional partier for
yeah.
sure. I mean, we got paid for it. I don't know if we actually got paid for it, honestly, but we partied. All the money that we ever made, I think, went right back into partying, and we weren't making fucking tons of money anyway. So it was mainly just to party.
Yeah.
And to put bands on stages and, stuff like that. But,
and that's Brody Nation.
I mean, yeah, there's more that goes into it for sure. But then the July 4th one went so well, we did another one in August.
Okay.
And that one had Blake Lewis at it, who B Shorty was his stage name at that point, and he was something that I'd never seen before at that point of my music.
Incredible.
Ingestion. Because he had this beat pad, and he was a beatboxer, and he had a wonderful voice as well, and just what he was doing was just unbelievable, and I'd never seen anything like it. So,
and these were promoted, ticketed events at this point?
I mean, yeah, there was a cover charge because I had to pay the bands, of course.
Yeah.
And the sound guy. Those were basically the only costs at that point. The good old days. But dude, I don't know. It was like $10 or something like that. And we're talking 2006 too, It's
it's early.
A different time and age.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we had B Shorty come out and perform before the Mob Law, and I have a bunch of video of that I need to dig out, dude. It's crazy. Wow. But at that Brody, he told me, he's like, hey, or no, it wasn't that Brody. It was after that Brody. Then we had a Halloween party, which was our first party as Brody's Productions at Waldo's in Kirkland. And we had the Missing Players and this band from Florida, this reggae band called Part One Tribe, and we had Blake Lewis come out. And Blake told me at that show, he's like, yeah, I just got done auditioning for American Idol. And, of course, he got the golden ticket, and he got second place because he just, blew everybody away with this beatbox talent that at that point I don't think anybody had ever seen. But we had him back 2 years ago as a guest artist. That was amazing. So that was the first, big name and one of the biggest names that we still ever had on this stage. But then we did 2 a year. We did 2 in 2007. And then in 2008, which was that logo I posted the other day, the American version of the MLB ripoff. But then the men's room actually ripped me off.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like 2 years.
So for those that don't know the men's room, local radio station.
Oh, I love the men's room. Don't get me wrong.
99.9.
Steve threw all those guys, dude, and
the Ted Smith.
The Ted Smith. He's come to Brody. He's a huge supporter of what I do. He gives us shout outs on the radio and stuff. So I'm saying that more of, jokingly. But they came out with a very similar logo about 2 years after we came out with our Brody one. But theirs was more of a full silhouette, and the guy's pounding a 40 ounce. Yeah. And it looks more like the NBA logo, kind of. But, yeah. But anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, 2008.
Before you keep going, because I want to understand Morgan Henley a little bit.
Okay.
Because so you're promoting the two shows, but how did you get into promotion? How did you get into like this business of?
Well, that's how it started. It just snowballed. After Brody Nation, Kainoa and I formed Brody's Productions, and we did that show the Halloween show was the first one that, because my buddy Scott knew this band Part One Tribe, and they were coming up here, and they needed a place to play on Halloween. So he asked us, because, we threw two awesome parties. And Scott he played rhythm guitar in School Bus Bar Fight.
Of course.
I did
Yeah.
not
You didn't see that coming.
picture that band having a rhythm guitar in the band. But okay, keep going. Just to hold the sound down, I
Yeah.
I
think.
just
Yeah.
love that name.
Yeah.
I just school bus bar fight.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. So we did that show and we packed it out. It was a sold out show, and then shortly after that, we got asked by a couple bouncer buddies of ours that worked at Valhalla, literally 2 blocks down the street from Waldo's, asked us if we would be willing to host a beer pong tournament. And beer pong was huge at that
Oh,
point.
yeah.
And we were like, well, yeah, dude, we can party. We'll do that.
Yeah, it's close enough to volleyball. So
Yeah.
you got some. See, I'm trying to make the connections. So you know how to promote the volleyball.
Yeah.
You're now doing music.
We're doing music.
Beer pong was just
Beer pong was just natural.
yeah, perfect.
Right, it's
So
the
we-
natural next step. Yeah.
So we did that for 3.5 years every Wednesday night in Kirkland. And that was really the start to my extreme level of alcoholism. But we can talk about that later. So yeah, every Wednesday. And then we also started booking music at Valhalla too. We did that Friday nights. And then we kept the snowball going down 85th into downtown Kirkland. And we started club promotion at Lake Street, which was a big club in Kirkland at the time. And we were co-producing shows there with this dude, Johnny, who ran Parlay Productions. And then Joey Roxville came in with his production company, Party Army. And Joey Roxville just won Best DJ in the 425 this year.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So he's still doing it. But we're definitely not partying like we did back then. So
Some people are though.
Yeah.
I think that's the important piece.
yeah.
Is it's not about. I mean, yes, you had fun, you partied, you promoted. Now it's about the promotion, letting other people party.
Yeah.
I think. At least that's the way. That's my view.
No, I
of
mean, I
things,
love seeing
'cause
other people partying responsibly, of course.
You're here to guide.
Yes. I'm here to facilitate the party.
Yes.
As a next level expert, of course.
Yes.
Thank you.
You've
Well,
become,
the expertise comes also from the snowball continuing across 520 Bridge into Seattle, where we were also promoters at Trinity for a while there with Johnny and Parlay Productions. And then we were doing live music beer pong hybrids at the Irish Immigrant in the U District, which is no longer there, and Floyd's Place in Queen Anne, which is also no longer there. And then we're also doing we're doing beer pong at Jillian's, which is that triangle corner there on Westlake,
Yep.
which I can't remember what it's called now, but it was a big pool hall and we did beer pong tournaments there. So yeah, there was one point where we were doing 3 beer pong tournaments a week
Jeez.
and booking like 3 either club or live music events. So it was a lot of partying. And Kainoa got in a relationship, and of course his partner didn't want him partying 5 nights a week.
Shocker.
So
What?
so then I basically all fell on me because I didn't have a girlfriend. Well, actually I did, never mind. And yeah, I just kind of ignored what she wanted. But
A not for long girlfriend.
yeah, it would last about a year, but so yeah, it was a lot of partying for me. And then I basically was living way out of my means in Kirkland, so I moved back to Carnation in 2010, and then all the stuff in the cities kind of faded out, and I started focusing on the Snoqualmie Valley. And I'd always booked shows at Pete's ever since like 2007. We'd do a show out here, a few every summer, but then I really became involved at Pete's, and I was the promotions manager, kitchen manager. I did a bunch of stuff there, and I was eventually an owner for about a year or so. And so that was one of the main hubs, and that's where I met Greg Marks, who is no longer with us. He was our sound guy, and I met John Radovich. That's where our relationship blossomed, and then Brody's Productions just faded out. It never was really anything besides partying, doing all the shows and stuff. But then we started People with Instruments, PWI for short. And we booked around at a bunch of different places in the valley, like the Poorhouse in North Bend, Raging River in Fall City, the Sports Bar in Duval, and Pete's. So we had like this valley bar venue thing going on for a few years. And we also did a music festival down at Cook's Farm called PWI. And then we did 2 reggae fests there that we co-produced. And we always did Brody Nation, whether it was Brody's Productions or through People with Instruments.
So what year was this?
People with Instruments started in 2011 and went through 16 basically.
And what was the music vibe in the Valley? Because when I got here not too long ago, I mean, during the summer, it was almost every night you could find live music. And somebody has to make that happen.
Yeah.
What was happening in the scene before PWI started, or how did that
Well,
come
like
about?
I said, I was booking shows at Pete's. I'd do like 3 a summer or something like that. And then John Radovich was booking the music there. And he was bringing in, all kinds of bands. But he would do metal shows there quite often. And they were slammed out, as they still are. But so metal's been going on at Pete's Club for over 2 decades now. Yeah. And then when we teamed up, then we went off and got into these other venues. And we did some shows at the Rolling Log in Issaquah too, because that was like John and Greg's bar for many years when John lived in Issaquah. So, and then that partnership, fizzled out. We basically decided that, there wasn't enough money for us all 3 to make money. It just wasn't going to happen. And then also the big part was to save our friendships.
There is that. It's real important.
As we all know.
Thank God we haven't gotten there yet, because this
for
podcast
sure.
be real short. But
it's in a partnership. Partnerships are tricky, man. I've been in a few, and it's tough. But I think we made the right decision and kind of going our own separate ways, and focusing on other things. And then I started Morgan Henley Presents shortly after that, and went on my own, and started booking music for all sorts of venues here in the Valley and getting involved in all the town festivals. And that started in 16, I believe, was the first town festival I got a part of, which was the Carnation 4th of July. And then Duval Days. And then the Festival of Mount Si. And then Snoqualmie Days. And then Falls City Days. And then I started the Carnation Block Party in 16. And then brought the Lee Arts Foundation in 19. And it was called Rock the Nation.
Right.
But now we've turned it into a summer solstice
right.
event.
So the Nation, if you're from Carnation, so if you're not really from Carnation, but you want like the inside lingo, it's Tolt. But if you actually live here, it's the Nation.
That's the nickname, yes. It's been around for a while. And I believe it derived from Carnation Golf Course. It was a nickname for the Carnation Golf Course, and then it kind of fed over into town.
I grew up working there, so quite literally.
Yeah.
Golf cart tech, right?
Golf cart, a cart boy, yeah. So 50 cents a cart back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
But like I said, Brody was going on that whole time from 06 continually. The only year we ever missed was 2020, of course.
And it became a once-a-year thing at that point.
So yeah, what I was going to get to earlier there before we meandered.
Yeah, happens.
Was in 08, we had the biggest one to that date, and we went all out on, because the 4th was on a Friday. So we did Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I can't remember if we did Sunday. But either way, it was the first like multi-day one. Or no, it was the first. Yeah, we went from 1 days to 3 or 4.
Why not?
And no, it was too big of a jump. We lost a lot of money that year, I believe. Because I booked there were way too many bands, and our cover charge
that is a chronic problem.
Our cover charge was like $10 or something like that, so we definitely didn't.
Another chronic
for 4 days.
Yeah, for 4 days. But learning curves. I've learned a lot.
It probably cost you more to collect the $10 for 4 days than it did.
$2.50.
Well, I'll be honest, dude. We went to my dad.
Yeah.
We're like, Dad,
well, how much should
we
we
need
charge?
you to bail us out.
Oh, Dad, come bail us out.
Yeah.
We made a mistake.
I think it was a couple $1,000s or something like that. But I remember I remember a look of disappointment at first, but then he had like this realization of, well, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then he'd get loaned us the money basically.
Money well spent for him, right?
Oh, he loved it, man. He loved seeing, where Brody progressed to, and he got old and he couldn't put on these events anymore. It was a lot of work.
Well,
You know, even the
they get more
events he was doing.
complicated.
Well, even the events he was doing, you know, they weren't as intricate and involved as what Brody is, you know, but still, it's like, you know, you're getting this property ready for something like that is hard enough, right?
So much time behind the scenes
Yeah.
to put on events.
Yeah.
Just leading up to it, afterwards, and during.
So he was stoked when Kainoa and I took the flame, basically, took the torch and rolled with it. And, you know, that's what he created here. He wanted this place to continue on and positively influence people's lives and showcase music. Like we discussed earlier, there's been thousands of musicians that have played this stage. What we're sitting on right now, there is every single millimeter, nanometer has been stepped on by musicians, you know, over and over and over again. Through 43 years, we've been having live music here, and I've put over 1,000 musicians on this stage.
The whole 6 degrees thing, right, between people and especially musicians that come through the valley, the 6 degrees comes through this stage. Mm-hmm. I mean, every musician that plays anywhere in the valley has either played here, probably, or is adjacent, very adjacent to somebody who has. And if they haven't played here, they want to.
Yeah. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, it's an honor to be able to provide something like this that can influence a musician, right? Like Jimmy James, we'll use the example from last year. We had Jimmy James play. He played with Marmalade, and then I had him sit in with 3 acts, and they did an individual song. And all 3 of those songs are something that anybody that witnessed that here will never forget that, because that was incredible. It was next level shit that you definitely do not see every day.
Watching the guys from Citrus just turn, and just the smiles on their faces as they're watching Jimmy. It's Citrus, it was ripping, right, on a Friday night it was, and then they're just looking at Jimmy go. And I have a photo of it, and they're just the smiles on their faces.
Yeah, huge eyes, you know, just like, I can't believe that we're on the stage right now playing with Jimmy James. But the part that is even more monumental than that is when he decided, he was standing here late at night, the stage had ended, and he was looking at the stage, and his amp was still like right here where Travis is. And he told me that something told him, he's like, I'm not done playing on this stage. And so he got up here and he just started noodling, and then people started gathering, you know, and they played for like an hour and a half just sitting here, and people brought up hand drums, and, you know, Citrus was playing hand drums with him for a minute. People were singing.
It was a sing along. My Girl was going on.
Yeah.
When Ryan Miller and I were heading back, we're going to go head home to start processing our video footage and photography, and we just stopped. And Carlos was like, all right, well, and so I just went up on stage with my camera, and then Ryan went to work, and we got about 10 minutes of video footage of that going on.
And, you know, if Jimmy James is standing there and the hippie gods tell him you're not done playing the stage or whatever it was, right? And he is inspired. I mean, this man is one of the most renowned musicians in Seattle and travels the world and, you know, plays with all sorts of renowned musicians, right? Like, this stage called him back, which that's somebody cool. That provides this. I mean, that's all I can ask for, you know, is stuff like that, memories that are created just on the fly, just because of what this is. There's a few places
in the world, like, I mean, recording studios that are coveted, like, you know, you made it when you recorded here. Mm-hmm. There's stages you want to be on, big arenas, those sorts of things. From a Seattle music scene, Western Washington, Pacific Northwest, and it's starting to expand. This stage has become one of those things. I mean, any band that is at a level where they're gaining some popularity, they're getting the support of other bands, they're starting to book gigs, they get in this circle of, well, you know about Brody. Mm-hmm. Right? Did you play Brody? Do you know Morgan? Are you on the list? Right? And I hear that regularly. Mm-hmm. And I was actually in a bar last night having dinner. These two girls came in, and there were some musicians there. And one of them was like, well, have you played Brody? And this musician's like, I haven't. I'm the guy who was in his 60s. He hasn't been in a band in 40 years.
It's like, Brody, what?
You know, and he knew about it, But he's like, I'm not in a band right now.
Yeah.
No, it has reached that point, and it's, I know that we're doing a great honor and service to what my dad and my mother and all those other hippies that influenced this property through the years have laid down the groundwork, right? And we're carrying it on and taking it to another level and keeping it at that level of just insane amount of talent
And
that
there's-
is playing this stage and the river stage, and it's unbelievable. Every year I'm just like, man, I can't believe I even know these people.
and there's still a few house shows that happen throughout the valley that are, still those quiet sort of things, friends of friends and musicians. But what you're opening up this to is allowing people to kind of dip back into history. And if you aren't living here, or you don't have those neighbors, or aren't on that scene, you can just come and touch Brody and experience it and be part of it.
So you go back in history, I'm going to be honest with you. It's like you get to come here and go back to the 60s,
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah, and it is a mental health thing for people.
Totally.
Oof.
People will leave here Sunday and they're like, I'm cleansed, I'm good for the rest of the year, and I will see you in a year.
Yeah.
And it is so
Yep.
critical that they have that to look forward to every single year. It's really important.
Yeah, and I'm thankful beyond words that those people keep arriving. It's a Brody fam is what we call it now, and it's extremely special. And I see the Brody fam out at all these shows now, and they're following these bands that play here, and that's the whole purpose, right? Is to get these bands exposure, create fans, have them follow them, go to their shows, buy their merch, support them. And the Brody fam, they do it. It's crazy.
It's
a beautiful
growing,
thing.
It's a growing group. I do a lot of shows outside of what you do as well,
Yeah.
and I see them at different festivals as well. And there's a group,
Yeah.
and it's like family.
And
It
to know
really
that
is.
to know that we're helping facilitate that and carry that on and create it is it makes all these stressful hours and months and hard work worth it when you get to see that actually in action and take a step back and realize that what we are doing is unique and important.
I was just going over my notes, and one of my questions I was going to try and answer through this, and I think we did, but I'll give you a chance to kind of answer it in your own words. I don't think this thing that you do, this Brody Nation festival, one, could be done anywhere else, first of all, because of the history here, but also who you are as a person and your background of both being part of the hippie movement here, who your father was, some of the things you've gone through as a hard partier, right? The promotions that you did through, 3, 4, 5 beer pong leagues.
Dude, that was good, dude.
Right? Brody Nation, in its maturity that it is now, and I'll say that because it isn't a very well run, put together thing.
Thank you.
It's super comfortable, even to those of us that don't like crowds and
Yeah.
don't like going to festivals, or let alone being outside. It is a very comfortable place to just come and be yourself, and you're with people who are being themselves. It's a very safe place, and I think that reflects your vibe as a person and who you've become.
Mm-hmm.
So could this Brody Nation thing happen, one, without this property, because of the organic vibe
Yeah.
that happened here, but also could it happen without Morgan Henley and who Morgan Henley is today?
Deep question, bro.
I'll actually take that because I shoot a lot of other
Yeah.
festivals.
You go first, buddy.
Because honestly, I just don't feel that at other festivals that I shoot. I don't. There's not a feeling that when you come there, like, I'm looking forward to this. I'm an introvert. Love to be behind the computer, away from the people, but this is something I look forward to. It's the people here. It's the vibe. Be excellent to each other. It's It's what he's curated over here, and the family's curated over here over all of these decades, is a place for everybody to come and just relax and unwind and be together. And and so there's no cell phone coverage here, and so you get people to, like I said, it's like going back in time, because you're actually talking with each other, and you're creating these memories of, being with each other, and then the music on top of that, and then the camping, and then going through the woods and the trails. You cannot just uproot that and put it somewhere else. And I honestly speaking, as the person that looks at the budget and does those things and said, okay, maybe we can move this festival somewhere else, it's just a festival at that point. It would be, okay, it's a music festival. Now they're booking bands, and you know what I mean? And we would have to start and recreate that history, right? So we would have to then go get a Kenny Chapman to build us 250 statues, right? And then we would have to have the 3 decades or 2 decades of the volleyball tournaments, right? We would have to have that history for people to think back on, and have those good memories to think back on and go, this is where I want to be. This is my my calm place. And so, no, straight up, no.
Yeah, and it's a destination, and you're not going to necessarily move that destination. And there are some really, Coachella comes to mind. That's a destination festival in the desert, and you're gonna have a terrible time in the desert watching some of the most phenomenal acts that are playing.
That should be their new promo.
That should be their new promo, absolutely. And a lot of festivals have become that, because that's, we want it to be a destination festival. Okay,
right.
great, but the destination's terrible.
Right. Yeah.
This is a destination you want to be in, and by the way, there's some phenomenal things to see.
Well,
right.
I would have to agree with what Travis said for sure. What you're saying, Ryan, is this doesn't feel corporate.
It can't. It's too organic.
It's too organic. It's unique. I can't say that enough. Like, there isn't another property like this in the state that has had 43 years of live music and gathering that I know of. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I've been told by multiple people in the industry that this does not exist other places.
No, not anymore.
And that is what makes this special. So, yeah, if Brody wasn't to exist, if we had to stop, it couldn't move. We would have to create something else somewhere else.
You're not putting wheels on this stage and dragging it down 203 to anywhere.
Well, this stage, this doesn't exist anywhere else either.
Right.
No,
and
for, 36 years that it's been here, this is a solid-ass stage.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Solid both metaphorically
and physically. Yeah.
Physically, because you were jumping around on it. You're like, we're good for another year.
If you think about it economically speaking, too, Brody is not going to be mobile. That's just not the way it is, because it is tied to the land that we're sitting on. Yeah,
it's the history that people feel when they walk through that gate. I can see them looking around, just total minds blown. Just, they're like, where in the fuck am I at? And then they walk down, they see the stage, and I can see them just like go back, just like, what, dude? And then they walk down the trails, and their heads are just on a swivel everywhere. And then they pop down and see the river, and it's just like
it's a lot to take in.
And I can tell, like, it immediately changes people's attitudes, and like what you were saying, they check out. Yeah. And that's one of the beautiful things here is, we don't give out the Wi-Fi. Like, only people that need it get it. And there's, for the most part, unless you're down at the river and it's sunny, you're not going to get cell coverage.
Yeah.
And that makes people disconnect and actually be in the moment and actually create memories, like you were mentioning. Yeah. Because, if you're on your phone constantly or constantly distracted, you're not forming memories. Yeah.
Right? Memory adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. People leave their devices in their tents.
Yeah.
They don't watch this thing through their phones. They are here and present.
Yeah.
And participating. And it's amazing.
Yeah. That's why we're winning awards. Like, we promote it. Like, we want people to vote. We want to win. Like, I'm not too proud to say that we are, garnering votes. Yeah. But if you want to win, that's what you got to do. And I can't thank the people enough that have voted over these last 3 years and got us all these awards and recognition, because it helps in multiple different facets, right?
There's a lot of things to do on a daily basis, and especially for the people that come to Brody. They got kids, they got grandkids, they got lives and stuff, and they're taking the time to go onto their device, go in and vote. You know what I mean? For all of us, for Last Light Photography, Brody Nation, all of us. It's very much appreciated.
And that's to get somebody to drive somebody to do that, right? And to do it daily. Some of these people are voting daily. That's love right there. That's appreciation. That's appreciating what is here. That's
and it's appreciating
what we provide.
The people behind who bring this together, because it is not an overnight thing. There are a lot of people, and Travis has been with you the last couple of years helping out.
We met in 21.
21, yeah.
And then both of our lives have changed forever.
Yeah,
it's like we're a married couple.
Yeah.
But through partying and live music and festivals.
Yeah, putting
That's
on
our
events.
Relationship. Yeah.
Being at music festivals together, being at our town festivals together as well. But yeah, I got my start coming to a Morgan Henley Presents show as a rock and roll photographer up at the Bindlestick in May of 21. Because I noticed that he was posting some photographs on one of the Facebook.
The Carnation After Dark.
Yeah, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I had this guy, and he added me back as a friend, and then I was like trying to get it back into the blues and not wanting to know where to start, and it just so happened he saw the post and was like, hey, you need to come to see Brett Benton. And that changed. That changed my life, sitting there watching him play his resonator. So yeah, that was 21. So that was 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's just been photographing freaking everything now.
He captures it all. And you and I were talking on episode 2 about photography and your crossover as a landscape photographer and the Aurora, and just this has to be just the playground, because you've got the river and the sculptures and the natural trees and the amazing lighting, and we'll get into the amazing lighting at night in a bit.
Yeah, this place
this
is an absolute playground, man. It is. So having ADHD, being a photographer, being a music person, being a lighting person, right? So Last Light was going to be a pyrotechnics company, right? So you come here and it's a wonderland of just the statues, the lighting at night, the people walking through at night, playing bocce ball on the trails right at 3 a.m. or whatever it is, watching how people decorate their camps and stuff. And when you're walking through, it's tough to walk through from stage to stage, right, from the hippie stage, and go through the trails and not stop and just get lost for a while. And it's tough. I've probably taken some of the best photographs I've ever taken in my life on this property.
Yeah, and that's
period.
And that's free, because it's nature. And being a landscape photographer, rock and roll, landscape, nightscape, Aurora. I've done it all here. I've got the Milky Way above this stage. I've got the Aurora above this stage. It's incredible. It's all of the acts over the last, what's coming up on my 5th year now. It'll be my 5th Brody, dude.
Nice.
Yeah. And then just thinking about all the stars on the stage specifically as well. Jimmy James and
everything aligns here.
Blake Lewis, all that.
The axis, everything aligns.
Yeah.
From an arts, every direction of art.
Yeah.
From photography to wood carvings to painting to there's probably everything has been here.
Well, then I want to say really quickly, Donovan's lighting and lasers.
Well, I have it on my list. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. Okay, good, because I want to leave them out.
That's definitely
that's another aspect.
You have something more to say about that?
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, I think one of the things that makes Brody special and unique too is the size, the attendance, right? We're only selling 300 tickets. There's about 500 people here probably on Saturday at the apex of the event. So there's not thousands of people, right? Where you there's no way that you could talk story with all those people, right? But Brody, you can literally meet a majority of the people that are here if you don't already know them. And then on the other side of the coin, a lot of these people already know each other. So it is like what we talked about earlier, a thing that people look forward to all year because they know who's going to be here. They have an idea of what's going to be created. They have their favorite things about it. You know, they discover other new favorite things every year. And that's unique. I've
really
never, you know, I've heard Brody compared to like Summer Meltdown, which was an amazing festival that went on for many years up north. And a lot of people tell me that Brody reminds them of what Summer Meltdown was in the beginning, right? Because it was a big family, basically. And then it kind of got bigger, right? And they lost that kind of feel to it. And unfortunately, they're not doing it anymore for multiple reasons, and that I don't really know. So I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, shout out to Josh Clausen, though. He's a great dude, and he was one of the drivers of it. And it was an incredible event here that happened in the Pacific Northwest for many years, and people loved it and went to it for many of the same reasons that they come to this, because it just feels different. It feels more homey, more friendly, right? There's rarely ever bad actors. Like, we don't, for the most part, we're smooth sailing throughout the whole weekend. We rarely ever have like any incidents. You know, I have an awesome security crew in Carlos and who he brings in, and you know, most people probably look at Carlos and they're like, okay, I'm not doing anything that I shouldn't do, because I don't want to be on the wrong side of Carlos.
Super
Even
friendly
though
guy.
He's a big sweet bear, yeah. But you know, I would definitely probably think the same thing if I didn't know Carlos.
And that's the other.
And that's why he's head of security.
Right.
But he's also a great dude, and he's got great friendships with a lot of these people. And
raise an eyebrow at you, and you go, okay,
yeah.
it's cool. It's cool.
So we have them, you know, to make sure that everything stays safe.
Yeah.
And we have food vendor, beer garden, and, you know, we have camping here, and we have volunteers that are incredible that help facilitate. My neighbors down the street are the best neighbors I could ever ask for, most of them, except for one. But they all come to the event. You know, they love it. They fly family in from out of state. They come and stay the weekend and come down here. And, you know, it's a community thing that people have latched onto. And they've, again, like, people in the community make this one of their highlights of the summer. And they let me park cars on their property. You know, the Rushes, shout out to the Rushes and Kevin for facilitating parking for many years. And we have a shuttle, and it's for the most part, it's super well run, if I must say. But there's, you know, we that's not by accident, that's by design. Like, we've learned what to do and what not to do through the years, and I've taken insight from my neighbors and other people to figure out solutions to problems before they get bad. And, you know, this isn't just a party that's happening, right? That I think some people may think. And
it's like any well-run event. You look at, okay, what worked, what didn't work, and you shift it a little bit, and it gets better. And some things are, well, maybe that didn't work, and you move it around, you take input, and it's a real event. Like you said, it's not just, you don't throw dates on and see who shows up. It definitely is it's a curated property at this point. It's a curated event. You've got people who know what they're doing, who have a background in promotion. You have people who have a background in sound, who know what they're doing with sound, lighting, all of it. And I think that's a good segue to this year's Brody.
let's talk that story, buddy.
All right. So this year's Brody is July 10th through
1-3.
1-3.
The big 13.
4 days. How many bands did you finally decide on?
I believe, I'm pretty confident about this. 51.
So we were.
Now that's X. But if you broke it down to, like, you know, stage names,
Yeah.
right? Because say Zach, you know, Zach and Aaron are playing together, but they're
Right.
their own musicians in their own right.
Right. So that's 3.
Well, I'd count it as 2.
What?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
So
I was gonna say that there's more if you count it that
I was
way,
almost
but-
making a joke with Morgan the other day that this thing comes together, and it is because you're trying to slot in as many as possible.
Yes.
I mean, you're trying to do a service to the bands who want to play on a stage, and people want to see these bands, and so it is really about the music, and you start relatively early, and you go as late as you need to, relatively, and you cram as many bands as you possibly can in 4 days. And that takes a tremendous amount of juggling of who's available when. Are
Totally.
they available that weekend? Can they play early, late? Where are they going to land? And I joked and I said, well, you must just print the poster and then the bands realize if they made it or not, right? I mean, it's...
I mean, yeah, that actually happened this year. So, yeah, this year has been unique in the sense that it hasn't gone as it usually has. We've been very late. I've been very late on many things. So we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants at this moment in time for a couple things. But the lineup, came together pretty not easily. It's tough. It's really hard. Like I was mentioning earlier, having to tell bands that they didn't make it is one of my least favorite things about being in this business. But I am going through right now trying to juggle an act and change them. That's why the schedule has yet to come out.
Yeah.
But really, if you think
And
about
why
it,
we don't have a final number?
no, it's 51.
Okay.
Yeah, it better be because I approved the merch.
Okay,
So
good.
I counted it like 4 times. So, and I got 51 every time. So I mean, I don't know.
No comment, man.
No, nobody's grading you, so you're fine.
We'll
You're
see.
fine.
We'll see how many show up here. We'll
Yeah.
have 53.
No, they're all in.
No, I'm just saying
They've
we're
reached
going
out
to
to
have
me.
more.
Yeah, but really, most festivals don't release the schedule until pretty relatively close to the show.
Closer than this. I mean, we're
10 days out.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you got time, plenty of time.
totally. Well, I told people what days the people were playing on, so
Yeah,
close
enough.
Well, I mean, there probably won't be that many tickets left
mean,
by next week, so
Yeah, exactly.
I would
And
probably
you're,
go get them.
And the people listening to this and going to come to Brody Nation, you're going to come here for 4 days anyway. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to see everybody because you're going to be here all 4 days.
It's
so.
my little ploy to get people to just buy the full day ticket
Right,
so they're
exactly.
actually here,
Exactly.
experiencing the whole day. Because if you're not, you're missing out.
You're
There's a
missing
lot
out on
of
the
stuff.
entire
It's
experience.
amazing stuff that's going on here. So you definitely want to, get a day ticket and come at noon.
Yeah.
Come at noon, see the whole thing.
Yep.
There's phenomenal musicians playing at like 1:30.
Yeah,
Like headlining
sure.
musicians playing at 1:30
for sure.
in the afternoon on Friday and Saturday. And Thursday and Sunday. Well, Thursday we're not going at 1 in the afternoon. But
No, but
Thursday
it's
night's lineup's
still
pretty
the
gnarly.
same thing. I mean, talking about kicking off, like the daily. When the music starts, they're kick-ass acts. Like
Yeah.
it's not a.
Well, and the thing that is
here,
really special to me.
keep talking. I'm going to look for something.
Yeah. The thing that's special to me about showing up and watching this thing the first time I was here was just the number of musicians that'll jump in with other bands, or bands will have a set and they think the set is going to be what it is. And then they see some musician here that was planning to come the next day and is now a day early or was able to stay a day late. And they're like, hey, come jump in with us.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you get these groups that will never come together again. And
Oh, yeah.
they're just, you get to see them. And it is, well, you talked about the FOMO, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you have FOMO, you're just going to want to plant yourself in front of the stage and keep your eyes open.
Or if you don't want to stand all day, you can just be right over there
Yeah.
by the beer garden area and just grab a table. But yeah, don't take your eyes off the stage because it's tough. Because even as a photographer, I'm trying to get every moment, and still there's stuff that I miss. And so it's something going on all the
Yeah,
time.
there's 2 stages going on simultaneously on Friday and Saturday, so that's
Yeah, and so
it's
when
tough. I try to schedule it to where people could catch both, a little bit of both acts. It's hard though.
That's a tough
Because I
decision.
have a template, right? Like I figured out basically how many spots we can do, but that fluctuates when, say I have a band that I know is going to need 25, 30 minutes to switch over.
Yeah.
Then that can, tilt the times either, earlier or later for some of the sets. So through doing that, some sets do get eliminated sometimes. But this year we don't have any large bands like Eldritch Gravy or Citrus. So it'll be more rapid fire, hopefully. That's the plan. But we're definitely way more successful in actually hitting the times than we were, say, 15 years ago.
And that's
we were synonymous with running over time in the beginning, Brodies. Like bands just expected it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an hour late.
Well, and I think that's the other thing too. Fans sort of expect it when they look at all the changes and crossover, but you're working with some really phenomenal people who are supporting you, like Kelsima Audio.
Gotta give some love to Kelsima Audio.
I mean, they're
incredible.
They're one of the reasons you can swap bands in and out so quickly. Yeah. I mean, they got it dialed in.
Yeah. No, we got some good stagehands too. Tyler Hahn, shout out to him. He's been involved quite a few years now, and he's great to have a part of it. Yeah. Nico has been. I mean, he flew back from San Diego to help put this place together, and now he's coming back too a couple days before Brody. And the Animals. That's what we call Sam Making and his friends, because they just come in here and they just wreck shop, get things done. So I can't, there's Robert and Ciola too. But there's a list that goes on and on of people that help put this thing on every year, and I couldn't do it without him. And Travis is one of those people. What he's done with our social media game it's taken us to the next level. We're getting a lot more recognition on social media than we ever have. Dave and Michael Stedman, I couldn't utter another word about thanks without saying him. He has helped me take this event to where it is, literally. The model of it, the caliber of acts that we're getting, promotion too. He's been a huge part of that over the years. Using his creative ideas for the betterment of Brody. He's done that for many years.
And the music community overall, though, too.
Which we all know David has a lot of creative ideas. Not all of them we've used, of course, because there's just too many.
There's too many. There's
love
too
you,
many
buddy,
good ideas.
Thank you for everything, David. So now he came to me in like 2013, I think, and he said to me, Morgan, you realize this could be so much more than just the gnarliest backyard party ever. And I remember, and I was still drinking at that point, and I remember thinking, I'm like, two things. Why would I want it to be more than just a gnarly backyard party? And then the second thing was, no, I have not really thought about that. And so we talked on that off season from 13 to 14, and then 14 was the one where we really took it up. We were booking more bands. We had a photographer come out and shoot me and my dad on the stage for the poster and promo material, and David got me in touch with some other acts that I'd never been in touch with. That was the first year that Jimmy James played the stage, actually, with Funky to Death. And after that, it changed, for sure.
And because of his involvement with this, give a little background on who, for those that don't know him.
David Michael Stedman is the front man of the Mighty Stax Brothers. And they're not called the Mighty Stax Brothers. They're called the Stax Brothers. But they are mighty. And him and I met in 2007, I believe, shortly after I started doing events. And we did an event called Applesauced. And it was in Seattle at, I can't remember what venue it was at. But that was a big event, and then we did like a Halloween party too one year, and Panda Conspiracy played that. That's where I met Chris and all the people of Panda, and then we were just buddies ever since. And I booked the Stax Brothers. I brought them out to the nation, and they rocked Pete's multiple times. They rocked the Sports Bar in Duval, and then he started playing Brody. And Stax has probably played Brody at this point up there with the most of all time.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a staple. They're pretty much our house band. At this point, one of the house bands with Heels to the Hardwood and Deadly D.
And they fill this stage, and they bring the house down.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a wall of sound. It's a wall of funk, sexy soul, rock and roll. It's, but unfortunately, we're taking a different route this year, and David is bringing his new act out called David Stedman's His Wildest Dreams, which I'm stoked to see because I think Travis will agree with me on this. We're stoked to see him play some different songs because he has a smorgasbord of songs in multiple different genres.
Yep.
And it's just a lot of those songs aren't something that the Stax Brothers play. So he rarely ever plays them, if ever plays them live. So he's going to be doing a bunch of those songs, which I'm stoked to see.
Yeah, his backing band, they rip. So
Yeah.
Zach Michaud,
Anthony Brock
and then Jacob Doss.
Jacob Doss, yeah.
So it's a good 4-piece.
But he's going to bring out some of his country songs, which I'm stoked for, because he has one of the greatest country songs I've ever heard wrote, called "I'm Not Dead If I'm Still Living" or something like that. But it's genius.
Yeah.
And I told him he has to play it at Brody, so he told me they've been practicing it. So it's going to be epic.
I'm looking forward to it. I did get a little preview of his new band, and it is a different direction, but it's good. And he's one of those guys that just travels the world looking for inspiration, and some of this stuff is what he brought back from one of his trips, and it's his first time, I think he said, getting a chance to perform it, and so he's super stoked on it.
Well,
and
he's multi-talented.
Yeah.
He's a great musician. He's a great singer. He's a great friend. He's
a philosopher.
he's a philosopher.
Oh,
yeah, he's
yeah.
a great writer.
Yep.
He cares. He's passionate about countless things. And he's the greatest hustler I've ever seen in my life. The greatest promoter of music I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the guy goes way above and beyond. And
he sells out shows because he works.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about all the work leading up to an event and
Yeah.
the feeling of that event and who's involved. And you show up, scan your ticket, you get in, you have a great time for a couple hours, you go home. There's a lot of work that leads up to that. And he, like you said, he's one of those guys that hustles to make sure that event is one of the best you've ever been at. And that's why his stuff sells out. And so,
we hustled pretty hard on those shows. But
and again,
it was,
it's in the modern Brody era.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of the reasons Brody really is.
Well, he helped
is.
out huge with our launch parties, of course, and got us into some of those venues and worked to pack the house, and we did. I'll never forget that run of sellouts that we did for Brody.
Yeah, that was a blast.
That was epic. And we're selling out Seattle venues for a music festival. It's pretty rad. Yeah. Incarnation.
So let's run the lineup.
Yeah, let's run the lineup.
What do you got?
What do we got? Where's that sheet?
All of mine
It's
blew
back
away. Forget we're outside. Wind blows
Travis,
papers
give me a
away.
name.
So.
All right, here we go. Alan Johannes, buddy.
Start with Alan Johannes. Alan Johannes is a rock star's rock star. He has been doing music for many decades, big in the 90s kind of grunge scene here. He wasn't from here. He's from Chile. And I think he was based in LA there for a while, if I remember correctly, back in those days. But he was in the band Queens of the Stone Age for a little while. He was the creator of the band 11. He worked with Chris Cornell and Mark Lanigan and PJ Harvey and a whole bunch of other musicians as a producer. And so he's coming out. He's our headliner on Saturday. He's going to play, on a trio. It's going to be epic. The other two gentlemen that he has playing with them were also in Queens of the Stone Age. So
Nice.
That's some next level performance stuff here on the hippie stage.
And if you got confused by that list of bands that Morgan just listen to more music.
Yeah. If you don't know who Queens of the Stone Age is, you should probably
We can help
at
you.
least
Come
just
out.
Google 'em.
We'll get you.
Yeah, man,
we'll get you
just-
incorporated into the scene.
Yeah. And Chris Cornell, I mean, anybody that lives in Washington State should know who Chris Cornell is. But
May have heard of that
unfortunately-
guy.
Dude, I did meet like a 25-year-old not too long ago dude that didn't know who Chris Cornell was. And it blew my mind.
This is when it starts, man.
It blew
What do you
my
mean
mind,
you
dude.
don't know?
And I'm like, did you grow up in Washington? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what?
Some people's kids, as
But,
I say.
there's a lot of people, dude. There's a lot of people.
There are, and there's a lot to listen to, and
yeah.
more. There's never been a time where more music isn't uploaded every single day. So how are you going to find the good stuff? Well,
It's true.
You come out to these sorts of
Yeah,
things,
and
and
you
you
see
talk
Alan
to
Johannes,
us, and we'll
who
point you in the right direction.
Yeah,
His-
you're gonna.
I mean, he's next level. His string playing of the stringed instruments that he plays is next level. I'm excited to see him play in a electrified band because the only 2 times that I've worked with him, it's just been acoustic. But he'll also be doing an acoustic set on Friday. down by the riv. And yeah, no, I'm super stoked to have him. I brought him out here last year when he was here and played Miller's, and he immediately looked at this stage, what we were talking about earlier, and was like, okay, when's Brody Nation next year?
Yep.
It was like, it was a no-brainer for him. He was like, I'm coming back and playing this stage. And that's, I mean, coming from a dude that's traveled the world for decades and played music with some of the biggest names that you've ever heard of, you know, that's special.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I definitely feel it. It's not lost on me how big of a deal that is. It's pretty amazing.
All right, Steel Beans.
Well, we all know Steel Beans.
Yeah, we do.
If you don't know Steel Beans, you should hop on the old IG there and search him, because he's hilarious and he makes incredible music, because he is one of, if not the most gifted all-around musician I've ever seen in my 19 years of booking music. He plays
the funniest guy you're going to find,
Yeah.
with a set of drums and a guitar in his hand, period. Like, period. Like, yeah.
So he's played Brody a few times now. He played with Dave and Tune, the Stax Brothers, guitar. He's played solo here a number of times. He played last year on Sunday, closed out the whole event, and that is what he'll be doing again this year
That's a good spot.
on Sunday.
It's a good spot for him. So Sunday feels good. Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, he crushed it last year. It was awesome
yeah.
last year.
People went nuts. Came
Yeah.
out of the woods.
Yeah.
That was odd for a Sunday is usually that wind down, and they're, oh, wow, we're packing out the hippie stage here. So, yeah.
But that's what he
But
does.
we're excited and honored to have him back, because he puts on a show, man.
Well, no, and he introduced his trio that day, so that was the first. That was the first time he played live with his
Yeah, we got
his trio. So we got some breaking news here last.
Some one-man band action and
last
trio.
So we got Austin Jenks.
Well, Austin
coming
Jenks,
back.
our hometown musical hero. He will be making his return appearance to Brody for the first time since, I believe, 2012. Because the first time he ever played here, he was 07, I want to say. And he played right here on the hippie stage. Never heard of him before. Daniel Kennelly was the one that recommended him. And so I called up Austin that year, and I was like, hey, you want to play this hippie festival in the woods? And he's like, yeah. And so he came out, and I guess Austin told me this some years ago, that his performance here at Brody Nation that year was the first time that he'd played anywhere outside of his house or the church.
Wow.
Yeah. And he did Simple Man at the end, and it floored me. Because personally, I think that's one of the greatest songs ever penned. And he does, I mean, he's got a huge, powerful voice. He does an amazing job at it.
Yeah.
And that's when I coined him as the voice of an angel. And then I booked him as much as I could back then, everywhere in Kirkland, all over the valley. And then he got a band called Austin Jenks and The Last Call. And they were our headliner at Brody for, man, I want to say like 2010, 11, and 12. Maybe not. No, I think it was. Yeah. It was 3 years he was the headliner, and those were the biggest Brodies that we'd had at that point, because, you know, he was local, and, you know, freaking everybody that was local came. And they were good times. But then he got on The Voice, and then moved to Nashville shortly after that, and he's been there ever since, writing country music and putting out albums and performing, and then coming up here every summer to do multiple shows with your dude himself and other events too. He does quite the circuit up here in the summer. But he's going to come back and play solo.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a special performance from him and Garrett Hendricks as well on the river for the Acoustic on the Rocks.
That sounds good.
Yeah, which will be our Nashville West showing. Because we have that awesome banner that my uncle, I believe, who lived in Nashville, my dad's brother, gave him. And it's perfect.
I remember looking at the photo that was hanging out
Yeah.
right next to the stage.
Yeah. So we're excited to have Austin back.
All right. Kate Dinsmore.
Well, Kate Dinsmore is one of the top talents in the entire region. Just a phenomenal songstress, and her voice is, I feel like I've used this word a lot already this podcast, but unique. That's the only way I can put it. She played 2 years ago, and we're definitely stoked to have her back for this year. And especially, she's got a kind of a new configured sound and somewhat of a new band. So we'll be... Get off me, B. We're honored to be able to showcase that here too at Brody. She'll be playing Friday
And she just came out
around
with a
5
new album.
p.m., I believe.
New album this year.
Yeah, she came out with an EP. She's doing big things. Like I said, I think she is one of the top talents there is.
Definitely.
And I definitely see a world where she is known throughout the land. But yeah, come see her, Brody.
Stephanie Ann Johnson.
She loves playing here. She's stoked to come back. Stephanie Ann Johnson, one of the other powerhouses in this in this music community. Is also on The Voice. I don't know what year, but got a show on KXP too, and big in the music scene. Puts in a positive influence, and is coming back and playing again with duo with Sean Crawford this time.
So Stephanie Ann played the Pride Picnic.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah.
It's good.
And actually, a good story. The last time I played was down at the river, and Sean, the bass player for Deadly D,
Yeah.
I see him wandering across, coming in to the area, and I see him, and he's got tears in his eyes. And I'm like, dude, are you all right? And he's like, man, who is this? And I'm like, this is Stephanie Ann Johnson. And he's like, I was just at my tent, and I listened to the last 2 songs, and I just started crying. It's like I had to come see who this beautiful soul was. And I'm like, yeah, that's Stephanie.
Yeah.
Stephanie
Their voice is
is...
their voice is amazing.
I mean, it's gospel, it's soul, it's blues, it's a mix. It's a wonderful thing to witness.
So you want to take a moment, because we'll rattle off more acts that are, I mean, they all in their own right deserve a few minutes. But this year, I wouldn't call it a theme, but the poster that was put together,
Yes.
for those that haven't seen it, is from a photo.
It is.
That you cherish of your father kissing your mother, and
Yes.
and where I think you said that you're kind of, last year was about your father, and this year is really about your mother.
Yes.
And the contributions
it's
over
for
the
the
years
matriarch. Really, we're trying to celebrate all the ladies and mothers, sisters, daughters, cousins, any friends. We have more females fronted bands on this lineup than I believe we've ever had. We have a lot of mixed groups as well, female and male. So we're putting an emphasis on showcasing the amazing talents.
So really quickly, when I started doing the marketing, helping out with the marketing here, Morgan was always insistent on a mix and an equal stage for everybody. And I was like, why don't you tell people about that? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. It's just something we should be doing. I was like, okay, but we should talk about that at some point. And he just never did. And so he's been doing this a long time, giving opportunities, right? Yeah, equitable spaces for everybody for a long time. But this year, obviously celebrating his mother and the matriarch, obviously he's now going to talk about it. So I'm wonderful he's talking about it, but he's been doing this for a long time, and he just doesn't want to talk about the fact that he takes the time out and makes the space for genders, for identities, as well as male, female, they, them, anything.
Race.
The LGBTQ community, race as well. And
Trying
so,
to get as much ethnicity up here as possible too.
when you come here, you're going to be represented here. Do you see what I'm? So that's where that feeling comes from, is you are represented on the stage.
Yeah.
So anyway, just a little.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy, because yes, it's all true. And I also feel with where we're at right now in a society and some of the cultural problems that we continue to have and we fight amongst ourselves about, it's more important than ever to have that diverse lineup to showcase everything that we have here. And that's also why this is multi-genres. A lot of people ask me, it was like, oh, is it a rock festival or is it, country festival? Or some people think it's a metal festival because it's called Brody. But I'm like, no, dude, I'm booking like everything. I mean, you could come here and besides like polka, you're going to You know, maybe I'll get a polka band too someday.
Well, if you ask nicely, I mean,
Yeah.
I would
be
expect
awesome.
That's
some
where-
of the bands
I
could
mean-
break out into polka if you ask nicely.
I could probably get that happen.
Yeah.
But lastly, you know, that's what this property's always been. It's always been an open space for everybody as long as your vibe's right. You know, if you got a shitty vibe, then you can kick rocks, dude. Like, we don't need you here. That's not what we're doing here. We're here for everybody to come together, hug, smile, you know, appreciate each other through music and art and sunshine and this amazing property. And so, yeah, Travis is right. You know, I don't know. I don't want to use that as like a promotional tool because I've never really thought it should be, right? It should just be the way that it is. I shouldn't be like, hey, check it out. We got, 5 black artists this year. Like, I'm not going to do that. It's just, we're going to do it by showing it and by actually doing it, you know? But Travis is right. This year, you know, we're paying homage to my mother. I did feel that it was important to acknowledge that we are here for our female musicians, because you see a lot of bills, man. You see a lot of bills where they're definitely underrepresented. And I get it. It's hard as a talent buyer because there's more male acts. There just are, you know? So it's definitely tough. But you got to put in the time and do it, you know? And like Brittany Collins' hat, right? Her merch hat.
Yep.
It
I was
says
just
put
gonna
more
mention that.
females on the stage, right? It's totally true. It is. And I've always, well, I can't say always, like back in the beginning Brody days, there wasn't a lot of thought put into who exactly was playing. It was just like, who wants to play? Yeah, let's rock. But in recent years, yes. Especially after 2020. 2020 changed my mind on a lot of things culturally and gave me new direction in what I'm doing in this industry and what I want to be remembered for and what I want to facilitate and leave, you know, and create. And that's equal opportunity for everybody. You know, if you got talent, if you want to be a musician for your livelihood, like, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to try to facilitate that, you know, and it doesn't matter what you look like or who you fall in love with or anything like that. You're welcome here at Club Tolt and Brody Nation, and it'll always be like that.
And I hear a lot from people who talk about Brody Nation, and obviously it's almost without saying that when you come here, you're going to hear great bands, great musicians. And when you curate a lineup like that, you're not compromising on that at all. I mean, you are seeking out and finding when you need a lineup that's diverse like that. Morgan finds those phenomenal bands that allow things to be diverse and represented. And so in the culture we have today of this talk about, oh, it's all about compromise and, oh, you're, you know, putting somebody in place that shouldn't be there because of X, Y, and Z. It's not about that at all. These are everybody on that plays on this stage.
They earned it.
They earned it. It's
sure.
just a conscious choice of those that have earned it. And like you said, you have to, in order to do that, you have to tell some bands, hey, it's not this year.
Yeah. You got to. I mean, if I could, I'd have like 70 bands here. But
And he would absolutely do that. This would be a 10-day, 10 bands a day, 100 bands.
well, I looked at Freak Out Fest, which is amazing thing that happens in Ballard in November. Shout out to Guy and his crew for putting that together. It's an awesome piece of Seattle art and music. I remember 2 years ago when I looked at their poster and I counted like 130 acts.
Ugh.
And one of my first thoughts was, man, I got to do that.
Well, you're slowly
I got to do that.
getting there.
We're getting there.
You're halfway there.
I definitely need some help to do that for sure.
A lot more help, man. That's
Yeah.
there's only so much candle left with what we've got, bud.
Let's do a couple more.
All right, so
How about Mega Cat?
Mega Cat. All right.
Mega Cat. Super stoked for Mega Cat. Mega Cat is Kim and Ryan from the Smoky Brights. It's a spin-off band, kind of. but different. And they rip. So we're definitely excited to have them here on the stage as our Friday night headliner. They're wonderful people. They played Smoky Brights played the Carnation Block Party a couple weeks ago, and they had a great time. They come out and enjoy it, right? Like they're these musicians that really appreciate where they are, what they're doing, the fact they get to make music and go to towns like Carnation and play for people, right? And have an amazing reception. And, they come and hang out and talk to all the people. And, they're one of those bands. And I appreciate those bands very much because they add to the lore of what's going on. And, they add to the memories that are created. And, some people will probably remember, fuck, the Smoky Brights were hanging out with us in the beer garden, right? Or here at Brody too. Like everybody's mingling, and there's a backstage, but for the most part, bands don't hang out back there. They're out with the people mingling and
standing
up front rocking to the band that's right before them. It's.
If you want to talk to some musicians, this is the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to tell you, it doesn't happen most other places. There's some others, that's after ours, but some of the other bigger festivals, man, there's a line, and that line isn't crossed. And here, like, you'll be standing there filming, and you look and there's the band that just played on stage, standing right next to you, like, hey, what's going on? It's pretty cool being a huge Heels of the Hardwoods fan. Like, you just standing in the crowd watching their set, and then they're literally standing next to you the next set watching the show because they're genuinely interested in what's going on. I always look at this festival as kind of like like an ecosystem, like a wetland, right? No one really pays attention to the wetland, right? But they pay attention to everything that it creates, right? All of everything for the ecosystem around it, and that's literally what Brody is. And you just have all these bands just coming here and enriching the area, you know what I mean? As well as the new musicians that come here, right? They get to see all of these bands. They get to see Alan Johannes. They get to see Steel Beans standing next to him, doing his thing. So yeah, it's unique in that aspect.
Yeah, it's a supportive community of musicians that really take interest in what other musicians are doing, and they're out in the crowd. Just say hello.
Yeah,
they'll be happy to talk to you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if not, talk to Morgan, because Morgan will
Not everybody here usually is very communicative, and there's not too many pompous musicians that come and don't want to hang out. But
musicians
appreciate it too.
They look forward to this as well, is that ability to just stand in the crowd and be themselves and watch the show as well, and then go camp and have fun. I mean, guys from Heels brought his mom. You know what I mean? Like it's that level. You bring your mom to go camping 4 days in the woods with you at the music festival. So that's where we're at. Is mom's here with us in the crowd, hanging out.
That's a good promo.
Bring your mom.
Brody Nation.
Seriously.
Where musicians bring their moms.
Yeah seriously.
Yeah, if you want to talk to mothers of musicians.
Yeah, this is it.
Mothers of musicians right here, man.
I mean, there's kind of that level of it. If you go to normal festival, they're normally in the bus, and you can't even talk to the musicians. Here you get to talk to the musicians and potentially their mothers.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely their moms. Yeah,
that's rare, dude.
Happening. As a photographer, I will say this: I get my arm grabbed. Hey, did you get good photos of Yeah, I got him. I got him covered.
Yeah,
that's my son. That's my daughter. So.
I was doing live sound recently at a community stage, and I had a mother who knew me, and she came back and said, "Make sure my daughter sounds good." I'm like, "I got you. Don't worry about it. She'll sound as good as everybody else. Don't worry about it."
All right, we got a couple more there. We just no way we're going through all this.
All right, let's go with
bands.
Lucia Flores-Weisman.
Lucia Flores-Weisman, fresh off a wonderful. Get out of here, B. Sorry. Fresh off a wonderful representation of the Pacific Northwest on the show The Voice. Yeah, I got fourth place, I believe, right? If they were placing, phenomenal young talent here in the community. I was introduced to her by Trav here because Trav used to work with her mother.
I used to go to school with her mom.
School. We had her play at the Duval Tavern a couple weeks ago. Just a phenomenal talent. I mean, she's got a lot of potential, and the sky's the limit for her, for sure. So we're definitely stoked to have her down here.
And she's
performing.
playing Friday.
She's also Friday.
Yep.
Friday is a powerhouse lineup.
Yeah, Friday's lineup's looking pretty solid. All right, what do you want to do here? Johnny Wheels and the Swamp Donkeys?
Oh man.
Johnny Wheels and the Swamp Donkeys will be our headliner Thursday night, and Johnny Wheels is the blues. Not only one of the best band names you've ever heard in your life. He rips. He plays harmonica and sings, and he is in a wheelchair, hence the Johnny Wheels. Watching this guy is an inspiration, man. It's an inspiration to not letting, your ailments hold you down and dictate your life, because this guy's out there touring and, playing show after show and rocking out and doing it, giving it his all every single performance. So, I love Johnny Wheels and the Swamp Donkeys. They're one of my favorite bands I think I've ever worked with.
The band is great.
The band's great.
And we've had a tradition here now, the last 3 years or 2 years, is the headliners here on Thursday night. It is a banger.
Yeah.
Absolute banger. And I anticipate that again.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about talking to musicians and kind of this bunch of musicians here like to watch the shows that are going on. If you are one of those people that loves the interaction between musicians on stage, Johnny Wheels, they're constantly back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, the unsaid communication blew me away of how connected that band was. And it is amazing to watch. And I will be here Thursday night.
Yep. July 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guitar player, the bass player, and Johnny, from what I can gather, have been together for a long time. And they kind of sub out drummers, I get the feeling, depending on where they are, where the show is. Because it's Festival Mount Si last year, we had freaking B.B. King's old drummer. They're like, oh, by the way, this is Tony Coleman. He was B.B. King's drummer. And I was like, what?
I got to drive his truck. I got to drive Tony Coleman's truck.
That's just the random epic stuff that happens doing these events. He was super cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that taught me about the full syrup sodas. Why can we not get full syrup sodas at festivals? And it hit me, and I was like, what? And so it's all all of the drinks now. It's just not.
Yeah, can't have sugar.
No sodas anymore.
Yeah. Who else we got on there?
All right, we got Heels to the Hardwood.
Oh, Heels to the Hardwood, of course. My boys. They've been playing Brody for who knows how many times. Yeah, I don't know.
They absolutely bring it every year.
They bring it every year. Pat is the owner of Sloop Tavern, and he's one of our sponsors, and goes above and beyond for this event every year. David and Pat actually have been playing this event since the formative years when they were in a band called Handful 11. That's where I met them. I think Pat and I had met earlier because I knew his cousin Andrew, but yeah, I mean, that was 2007, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're one of the longest running musicians to play this stage for sure, and we love every year. They're basically one of the highlights of every Brody. And they've built a huge fan base out of this event, which they deserve, because I think and I have thought for a long time, they're one of the best bands in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's another band that just right into the first song. These guys have been together for a while.
Yeah.
These guys have it down. This is going to be a full
asleep,
good
just going
set.
right through it is. It's cool to see the interactions. You know what I mean? I've been on stage with these guys a few times, photographing them in different, here, fundraisers, and to Tractor Tavern, I believe. Yeah, I mean Connor Byrne. And to be in the middle of them, right when they're doing their thing, just to kind of be that fly on the wall on the stage, it's incredible to listen to those guys and then watch, like you said, the communication, just the nods and the looks, nothing else. That's it. And Kevin Stiles on guitar, on pedal steel.
Kevin
I
Rhodes.
mean, it is. That pedal steel, when it is, yeah, it is just.
By the way, if you want me to show up at your show, just put a pedal steel in it. I'll probably be there.
That is
I don't care. I don't care if you're dubstep or.
dubstep pedal steel. Let's do it.
I don't.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to blaze through these.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, here we go.
Ready?
The lightning round.
Okay, Massey Ferguson. They're
Ah,
back.
Yeah.
Classic.
Stoked.
Yeah.
They rip.
They not only rip, but the attire is
Oh, yeah.
on point
Yeah.
with Maggie Ferguson.
And then,
Yeah,
you should
Ethan's
always
on
have.
point all the
Bass
time.
should always be at the front of the band.
I can't
yeah.
wait to see
Always.
his outfit. You've been
No
put
pressure.
on blast, Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan.
No
you gotta
pressure.
bring, Mr. Anderson, you need to bring it now.
You better come dripping, as the kids would say. Drip better be tight. Is that what they say? I don't know.
They do now.
I think you just say the drip.
The drip. Eden, stoked to
Oh,
have
yes.
Savannah with her full band. That's going to be epic.
They absolutely rip.
They are going to go before Allen on Saturday night.
All right.
Nice.
Zan Fiskum. No offense to any of the other artists on this bill, but she is one that I'm very stoked to have on the stage. One of the top talents in the region as well. Fantastic person. Her band is top notch.
All right.
So I'm stoked for that.
I don't think I've seen.
I have not either.
Yeah. So
Oh,
this will
well,
be
get ready.
He
a
was
first for a
he
couple
was
of
telling
us.
me about her a few years ago. So
Black Dogs.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, we're
Wow.
going to have
Oh, that's right.
a cover
Yeah.
band. But they're covering the sounds of the Led Zeppelin.
of all bands,
And they rip. They rip.
of all the bands.
Shout out to Amika and Mackenzie for basically making it very apparent that I needed to go see this band.
Yeah.
They were on me for quite a few weeks, so I went and saw them at Sea Monster some months ago, and I was in by like song 3. It's like, man, these guys are ripping Led Zeppelin. So I'm jazzed for that because I've always wanted a band to cover When the Levee Breaks because
All
we're
right.
under a dam.
Yeah. That's well.
So I told them
We live in the shadow.
that was my one stipulation. You guys have to cover that song. But they're more of a tribute band. I'm gonna say that they're above a cover band for sure. They're a tribute band. Torn Frost and the Patterns of Saturn are back. They're gonna rip Thursday night. Marmalade's back. They're gonna be Saturday night.
By the way, one of my favorite bassists
Oh yeah.
is in Marmalade, and I have a soft spot for phenomenal bassists in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, he rips. Yeah. Why am I totally blanking on his name right now? Starts with an L.
Loveless.
Lennox.
Oh no, we're talking about Bob.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, Bob's the
Oh.
best. I
I
was
thought you
thinking
were
Lennox.
talking about Lennox.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, Bob. Yeah.
Bob's gnarly. Both of them are gnarly. They're
Both of
probably
them
the
are
two
awesome, but-
two of the best bass players in Seattle. Martial Law Band's back. The MLB is going to play Saturday. Panic Conspiracy, they're going to be playing Friday.
Morgan looks at me.
Like
Friday, they're going to be before Alan's
I'll just say
solo
yes.
set. I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, we
of
talked about
course.
that. Right?
General Mojo's is back. Stoked to have them again.
Yeah.
Ian Ayers and Soul Purpose. Ian is one of those musicians that's been playing here since 07. He's probably up there too in the most Brody's ever played in a number of different bands. But they will be rocking on Saturday. Nick Martin will be playing with Nikhil Bega on Thursday night. That's going to be most epic.
That's gonna be cool.
Nikhil is a ripping young guitar player.
So far, I think what you've explained is for those that are listening to this and have decided, well, I'll just go for the 2 big days.
Friday and Saturday, there's a ticket for that.
There is, but you're going to miss.
You're going to miss Thursday. Thursday's packed.
Thursday's packed with talent
So
all
you
all
just-
night. Like
yeah.
it's tough to. I mean,
Commit to the 3
economically
days.
speaking, right? That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday,
Just commit
but
to at least the 3 days.
And then we got Walian. They're going to come back and funk it up.
yeah.
I feel like they're probably just going to get absorbed into the Brody fam, and they'll probably be here
Well,
for
yeah.
a majority of the future.
Yeah.
They fit right in,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. We got Brett Benton Stoked to have Brett back.
So good.
He's making the trek from Montana. Take a little break from selling knives and come slay some Delta blues here.
Selling knives and wrestling bears. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Super Mother, I'm bringing them back because they're one of the gnarliest two-piece bands that I know of. So they're going to rip
They blow me away.
Friday.
That's that's my kind of music.
Yeah.
And they blow me away.
Yeah, that was.
And we got Deadly D. They're Brody Staple. They will be rocking on Saturdays. No. Friday?
I think Friday.
Friday. Yeah, Friday. OK Tiger. Phenomenal band. Brittany Collins. Phenomenal musician.
Yes.
Byland. They're a new band that I'm super stoked about having. Great American Trainwreck's back.
Nice.
Get a little Americana train wreck action going. We got Terra Nobody, fantastic band. Jaws of Brooklyn's a new band. Stoked to have them. They've been wanting to play for quite a few years, so I'm glad we finally got them in.
Yeah.
Garrett Hendricks, like I mentioned, he's going to do a special set with Austin. Brittany Danielle's back. Anthony Brock Band. They've played quite a few years now, so they'll be back rocking. We got a new band, Old Coast. Also stoked about that one. That's one of Skylar Mayhall's groups he's in. He's playing in 3 bands, I think. The Hippocrats, a lovely duo.
Yeah, they're fun.
Izzy Burns, who I'm not super familiar with, but she's on tour with the Hippocrats during that time, so we just got both of them. But she seems like a very talented young musician. The Larkhounds, which is a spin-off of the Amber Lanterns and the Latona Family Band. So a little Valley Grass action going on. Then we got McNamee and Michaud. Keep saying the D, man.
Yeah, we sorted that one out last time.
Or
I thought we did at least.
It's McNamee.
Is it?
McNamee. No, it's McNamee.
It's McNamee.
McNamee. Sorry, Aaron. Tectonic, which is an amazing funk jam band, kind of. Just Cause. The Fall City freestyler. Just Cause will be back. Pickle.
Oh,
Gotta have Pickle.
they're good.
Sunday again.
Well, there you go. That's a little heavier.
We got a new act, OG Mambo.
Oh, yeah?
There we go.
Seattle MC. Stoked to have him out here. And then John and Lauren White. I don't know if Lauren's going to make it, so it might just be John White. But that's my nephew. He's been playing here since he was a wee one. When he first picked up the guitar, I think he was like 15 years old or something. It's always special to have him up here on the hippie stage. Cheryl Weiser. Stoked to get her on the bill. She was very excited and honored to be added. Leany Tunes, which I think is a duo that is going to blow some minds. Hard Maybe's back. They're an awesome, energetic band. We got The Veils, which is the Veils of the Nile, the belly dancing group.
Yeah.
They're going to do some action on
3rd year in a row, or is it more than that now?
Well, it's Jill Messingale. They hail from the valley, but it's always a pleasure to add them. Chase Rabidou, local boy, he's going to play. He's super stoked. DOS Collective and David Stedman and his Wildest Dreams. We gave him the Samuel L. Jackson heading there.
Absolutely. The belly dancing troupe does encourage participation, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
So limber up.
Yeah, get stretched out Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Double B and Shorty B we added, which weren't on that list, but that's Shorty B's new act, Chanel's new act. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Some hip hop action in the afternoon we're going to do. Get people lively.
Excellent.
And I think that's everybody that's on the bill.
I mean, and the nice thing is you called out, there's some new bands there, and this is certainly the place where if you ever in the future want to go, I saw him or her or them or they way back before anybody knew who they were.
Yep.
It's a good place to do it.
Especially early on in the day, right? So noon or whatever time we start, 11. Yep. Those are the people on their way up. They're new, coming out, getting that slot. Again, that's why there's probably 12 bands that a normal promoter would not book. Right. And that would be it. So
there's 17 acts that have never played.
So
Brody,
exactly. So exactly what I'm talking about.
50 some odd. 51.
Out of 51.
Yeah.
That those would not have the opportunity to come out and play on obviously a historic stage, but in front of all the other 40 bands, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking about. And so that's the piece where we get kind of lost because we talk about the headliners and we do all the promotions for that sort of thing. And when I getting back to the wetland, the ecosystem, you're creating that space for these people to come out and play live in front of all the other bands too that get to see you, and then you get to go stand in the crowd, next to them, and they give you pointers, and you get to talk and mingle, and yeah, that's what Brody's about here.
Yeah, and one real quick, the crowd too is, these are music lovers that are going to follow these bands. This isn't just like a one-time thing where they just go to a show and see a band and then never think about them again, right? Like a lot of these attendees are people that we've already mentioned. They now follow these bands and they go out to the shows and they follow them on social media, and so that's another opportunity for these bands too that isn't a lot of club shows and stuff like that you go to in Seattle. Like that's people are there to party and hang out with friends, and they're not, I mean, some shows of course you're fully absorbing who's on stage, but I feel like here it's a much more immersive.
It's a discovery.
Discovery. Yeah.
It's an intimate discovery, and then you get to connect with bands and
Yeah, we went to the Sea Monster to see Torn Frost and the Patterns of Saturn play. I can't. God, what was that? In April, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. And when you looked in the crowd as a photographer, it's like, oh wow, I know probably 75% of the people in this crowd, and I could have took, because there's a photo from the stage, I could have took that and put it here, and you wouldn't have known. Obviously, there's stuff in the back, but if you just took the people, you go, oh, hey, there's that, 75% of the people are the Brody people. And you can see, from a photographer's perspective, I've always liked that, voyeur, looking at people and looking at the crowd, and you can see new people coming in all the time, getting absorbed into the group. And then you start seeing them at the shows. You see them come to one Brody, and then all of a sudden you see them for the next 3 years at every show, and you're like, okay, that's what this is about.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Have fun.
So you want to talk a little bit about the venue for people who are showing up maybe for the first time, and a little bit about camping, packing in, if they want to do that, or.
Yeah. So if you want to camp, you got to get a ticket. Camping is pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Tight. Yeah, that'll work. It's very tight. It's limited for sure. So we're over halfway sold out of camping at this point. So if you want to camp, you definitely need to get in there and do it now. But it's all tent camping. We have no RV hookups. We have no space for RVs, so everything's tent.
Tent or less.
Tent or
I mean,
less.
you're not required to bring a tent.
No, some people sleep in hammocks. I mean, that's totally fine too. We got a lot of trees.
And you will get to know. You will get to know your neighbors.
You will get to know your neighbor.
Very well.
There's no living room setups. You're not allowed to take up, 40 square feet. That's not happening.
Your 10 by 10 area.
40 square feet. That's not that much, is it? Is that a lot?
40?
Yeah,
that's a lot. 10 by 10.
Yeah, that's a lot of 10 by 10s. You basically get a 10 by 10 spot. That's what we try to roll. So you'll go park down the road at my lovely neighbor's property that they let us use, and then there will be a shuttle bus that'll bring you back to the venue where you can unload. And we got a lot of wheelbarrows and stuff that you can use to get to your campground, but there will be a camping coordinator who you will need to meet, and will take you to the most available spot. Camping is not just go for it. We try to have some sense of organization.
Very organized, yes.
But it is first come, first serve, though.
Yeah, it is first come, first serve.
You get in here on Thursday. If you're going to camp all weekend, you want to be here at the door. You get your good spots.
Yeah, most campers come on Thursday.
Early.
Well, 3 p.m. the doors open.
Yeah.
What else?
And if you're not going to camp, parking, as you said.
Yep.
Just down the road a little bit.
Everybody parks down the road.
Yep.
We have a day lot, and then we also have a overnight lot. And like I said, we have the shuttle running. Please do not walk to the venue.
Oh.
We do not want you to do that.
Especially at night. Nobody will see you.
Especially at night. What else? When you come in, just be ready. Be ready for some good times.
Make some
Some
friends.
positive attitudes. Make a friend or two.
Talk to people. Don't be afraid to
know.
talk to people.
It's fun on the shuttle.
Yeah,
You'll
shuttle's fun. Well, food, beer garden. You are allowed to bring your own food and supplies.
Travis wants to remind you to
there are-
hydrate.
Hydrate, please.
There are no fires of any sort, at least, wood or anything like that. Propane fires are okay, but only in a designated area, which we will show you. But yeah, that's no dogs, please, unless it is a service animal, and if so, they need to be leashed at all times.
21 and over.
It's 21 and up. No minors. The only vehicles that will be allowed on property are banned vehicles, so don't hassle people. Just do what they ask, or go the direction they inform you to go, please.
It's part of the well-organized event
Yes.
thing that we're talking about. Please
Yeah.
don't second guess it. If you have stuff to bring in, because you do want to be here all day, I am wearing shorts today because it's warm, but I get cold at night when the sun goes down. So I have a little bag I bring, and I find a friend. I say, hey, can I stash this in your campground? And they're more than happy to let me do that. And
Yes.
so bring,
Bug spray.
Bring what you need. Bug spray is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Glow sticks are okay.
Yeah. You can bring a chair if you want.
Yeah.
We have tons of chairs, though. We have more chairs than most properties, for sure.
The first time I came to Brody, I was real excited to be able to sit down underneath a little umbrella, watch the show, and it's comfortable. It is a comfortable space.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this.
And our beer garden this year will be a fundraiser for Valley 104.9, our local FM radio station. So please make sure you support the beer garden responsibly, of course.
Who's supplying the beer
just
this
be
year? Do we know?
be responsible. That would be the last thing I'd have to say.
Yeah. Who's supplying the beer this year? Do we know?
I'm going to get it from a smorgasbord of Valley breweries.
Excellent.
So quite a few of them will be represented. Yep. And we are going to have to fence off the beer garden this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But, whatever.
I mean, you can still see and hear the stage.
Yeah.
So, all right. So some of our supporting people who are critical to making this happen and making it such a phenomenal event.
Oh, you mean the sponsors?
Kelsima Audio. No, I want to talk about Kelsima because they bring the sound.
Yes, they're an incredible sound crew.
This is not a second-rate event.
No, they're definitely pro.
And lighting and lasers.
Oh, Donovan.
Yeah, Donovan lighting.
Yeah, he took it to the next level when we got Donovan down here. I never imagined lasers on the stages, but now we got them on both stages. It's pretty gnarly. Definitely adds a whole nother element to it.
It's a feast for the eyes and the ears.
It is.
It'll get you in the feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes you to another place.
Like when you do the bigger festivals, you see these massive lighting setups, and you're like, okay, this is going to be perfect, and it's going to look pretty. Especially as a photographer, I'm like, okay, I know when to take these photos. But you don't expect it when you come out into the woods in Carnation next to the Tolt River.
Yeah.
It's some kind of hippie compound. Oh, whoa, there's lasers here, and the lighting's perfect. And I mean, as a photographer now, it's like I go straight from camera sometimes here. You know what I mean? To post because the lighting is so good now. When I first started, it was tough. You know what I mean? Donovan was here, but, his setup, every year I watch him in the wintertime, what you're watching, his new heads and his new this, his new side
He's
lighting.
constantly buying stuff.
New rail lighting and stuff, and, testing out new different designs and stuff. So it's literally, like, when you go down the Koa stage, it is just sit there at that night and just because it's it's a bigger area above, and so you get to see the designs hitting the trees and stuff like that. It's just it adds an entire other element where you can be turned around from the stages behind you, and you're just watching the trees. So
yeah, when you see lighting in a venue or in an arena or whatever, it is. You don't get the interactions with the environment because the environment's sterile.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. It's already it's all planned out.
As you said,
Perfect.
This stage and the other stage, if you just turn around and you just look at the trees for a moment, and you are taking your day responsibly.
Yep.
We don't want you to drift off into another world. But if you just stare at the trees for a little bit, you will have no idea where you are. It will take you to another place.
Yeah, you kind of lose yourself. Like, whoa, hey,
Yeah.
am I still here?
Well,
Yeah,
it terminates on different levels, right? So it looks very grid-like. It's pretty crazy.
yeah, because there's a lot of depth coming back from the stage, and then down there as well.
The river stage is nuts.
Yeah, especially for the above the crowd visuals like that.
Yeah, much love to Donovan. He's definitely a part of the crew and
Yeah.
part of the family, and he loves coming out here and doing the event, and he does the best job he can every year. We appreciate that.
You want to mention any sponsors? Because it will not happen without sponsors. It's
Yeah,
No, it's true. I got let's see here. We got the Sloop Tavern. I mentioned them. Carnation Farms is a sponsor this year. Jeff Warren, State Farm agent, of course. He is the rocking State Farm agent that has sponsored everything this year. So massive amounts of love to Jeff.
thank you, Jeff.
The Mondays, they're sponsoring the Koa Driftwood stage again. Valley 104.9 FM. Tim and Crystal Harris.
Yeah,
always good support.
And, you know, it's pretty amazing that just individuals are donating to this event too. You know, that doesn't happen a lot. So I'm very thankful and appreciative of that, as well as Max and Tara Volker. They're another couple that donates to the event. Your Heart Life Online Yoga Studio. That's Kelly Rush down the road. That's for letting us use their yard to park cars. Valley Mail. They do all of our printing over there in Duval. Dog Valley Grooming. That's Tiffany. She does a fabulous job keeping your pets groomed up. So check her out.
Very good.
Competition Hydro. That's the original Brody Aaron O'Neill. That's his pressure washing company. So hit him up if you need some pressure.
well, you need something cleaned up.
Yeah. No, he does a fantastic job. Snow Valley Pride. Definitely supporters of Greg and that amazing nonprofit. And their support of the event. And what else we got here? We got the International Drinking Team. They
Oh.
come and party.
Yeah,
And they also help out in any way that they can. So much love to them for that.
I guess if you are working up to being a professional, you can talk to them.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of laugh, but, you know, they think they're professional parties. I was like, dude, you guys have no idea the life
idea.
I lived.
no idea.
Brody's Productions. We're major league partiers.
Do we need to get them on the podcast?
Yeah, they'd
Just
be
go
fun.
back and forth about.
Yeah.
Should
Well,
we
it's
do
an
this?
app.
You kids have no idea.
What it is, real quick, is an app, right? So you're part of this app, and no matter where you are in the world, you can go on it and you can find other people that are on this app, and you can go meet them at a bar or whatever, right?
Nice.
Yeah. So I dig it. I dig the idea. Then we got we talked about Donovan. Front Row Photography.
Christian Sayer.
That's Christian.
Yeah.
He's trying to retire from photography, but I put him on here anyway because we don't want him to.
Nope.
We want him to come take photos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to come take some photos. Then we got Last Life Photography, of course, here. Travis, the man who takes all these beautiful photos, helps me stay sane, and also gives key insight, and does our social media,
Yeah. He's
which
a media.
is a beast. And then we have Ryan Miller, Video Productions.
Yeah.
Ryan shot a bunch of footage last year and made some awesome hype videos for us, and he'll be coming back this year and getting some more footage and making some more content. So much love to Ryan. Then we got the Tree Stewards, which was Eric, who I mentioned. He did some work for us here, so much love to Eric. And he provides a majority of the chips that you see all over the property.
Thank you.
Makes it
And
much
then
easier to walk around.
the Snoqualmie Valley
yeah.
Rotary is lending us their beer fridge trailer.
Nice. That is
Yes.
a nice trailer.
Yes.
That
So
is
we
a
will have that
coveted
for the beer
trailer in
garden.
the valley.
Yeah.
So the
Shout out
beer
to Leroy and
will be
Steve
cool.
and everybody up in the
Wow.
Rotary.
Yeah.
Well, we work with them on the festival at Mount Si. Yeah, so they're wonderful people. So shout out to them. Shout out to everybody that's come and helped out thus far and that's going to and to put this thing on, because I wouldn't be able to do it without all these people.
Shout out to Samantha Sedman as well.
Oh yeah, and Sam Dush.
She runs our meetings.
Yeah.
Keeps this guy and I in line.
Yeah.
Has a schedule. Sets
Yeah.
up our meetings. It sends us our notes. Does our swag for us a little bit. So yeah.
It's also
Thank
the
you,
band
Sam.
check-in.
Yeah, she does band check-in. So she does a
Yeah,
lot.
much love to Sam. She also keeps me sane, and I think I drive her insane. So it's a fair trade-off. What happened?
You're scratching though.
Oh,
There you go. Thanks.
sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think she would definitely like me to be more organized.
Well, we all would be.
We'll get you there.
Well, we all would love that.
It's a year-by-year
to
process.
have enough.
Travis would like you to reduce the band count. So.
Love you, Sam.
Yeah, man, just tamp it down a little bit, but
It's too many bands.
All right. So, a couple things we learned. This year's lineup is insane
Yeah, like
and
most.
packed, and you got to be here Thursday to get a hold of it all. And if you're going to do Thursday through Sunday, why not? Or Thursday through Saturday, why not stay through Sunday?
yeah.
So we'll see you all 4 days.
Sunday's gonna be epic.
There are tickets still available, but
BrodyNation.com.
yep. And camping is available, but we'll go super fast.
Yes, camping is very limited,
Yeah.
and we watch that very closely, and we will cut it off when it needs to happen.
Yeah. And
We have a, we got a good amount of camping, but it's definitely gotten tight over the past few years. So
it is a
we'll keep an eye
21
on that.
and over event.
Yep.
So keep that in mind.
Yes.
And one of my last questions, because I think as we try to get podcast reach further and further out, the reach of Brody further and further out, and as we wrap up here, any further thoughts that you want to give people who are maybe hearing of this festival for the first time? Any last minute notes?
You want to go?
You go first.
Well, as we've talked about in this podcast, this is a very storied property. It's a very storied event. This is our 19th year. Last year we celebrated the 20th actual event because, as mentioned earlier as well, we've had 2 a year for the first 2 years. So next year will be the 20th year of this event, and I'll state it again, I don't think there's any venue like this with this history in this state. I know there isn't in this county. So it's an experience. Like it will positively influence your life. You will find new friends. You will leave feeling uplifted. You will see musicians that you had never seen before. And that's what we're here to do. We want people to come down. We want new people to experience the event. And we want to create positive memories. That's what all of this is about. We want to positively influence our community, our society, and people's minds. And that's the whole gist of Brody Nation and this property and really everything that I put my life into is for that. And you have to see it, really. You have to experience it. I mean, we can talk about it all day long. We can show pictures of it and
Video, audio, it doesn't
matter. You just really have to be here and feel it and be a part of it and hold space in it to really understand what it's like.
Yeah. And if you come down and you get confused,
just follow the bark.
Just follow the bark and then just
It'll
grab
take you
anybody
somewhere.
and say, "What is going on?" And
Yeah.
they'll say, "Come with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get you integrated. We'll help you make some friends." And
it's one of the things that I was just thinking about this. He was like on the spot. Like when I think about this festival, being an introvert, being a person that in the tech industry, back office, man, please back office. And so for me, what I think about, I look forward to an event like this, being around a crowd like this, and I think back to when me and my wife first got together. In '98, went to Endfest, and I left right in the middle of Crystal Method's set because I could not be around people anymore at that point. Right, it was just too much. To being to a point where in the wintertime I'm like, okay, only 6 more months, still Brody, right? In November, it's like, it's rainy, it's dark, it's cold, right? Thanksgiving's coming up. The Seahawks aren't doing good. You have this beacon in the middle of summer, and it's the same. When I look at the weather, it's always it's the perfect pocket. And then the people here. At first, I was skeptical. Is it the way that he says it is, right? Be excellent to each other, be all these things. And I can remember I sit over there in the kitchenette and was like watching everybody. And then Friday I kind of started to, loosen up a little bit. Started making friends and those sorts of things, and started talking, to people as I was, photographing the event as well. And then you start making these real relationships with people. Then you start seeing them at other shows, and you add them on social media, and then you find you have all these things in common. And it's because of this, you know what I mean, this 72 hours that we're here, or whatever, 96 hours, and this event, this thing that we all look forward to. I look forward to it just like I look forward to Christmas or anything else, and I look forward to the faces and seeing the people. The music aside and the artistry aside and even just the property aside, when you are out in nature, right, it just lowers your blood pressure, you know what I mean, lowers your heart rate, and it puts you in that mood, right? It puts you in a relaxed state. I didn't just come home from my commute, right, and now I'm running to a show in Ballard, right, like, I'm still got the day, kind of hanging over me. You're relaxed, you're in that state of, okay, this is fun, I can accept and experience at this point. And so when you come here, it is it lowers everything down. Your defenses go down. Everything goes down because it's not crazy. There's no partying. You know what I mean? There's people drinking, but I mean, there's people doing things, but it's not that environment. It's almost like a picnic. I call it a summer camp for adults, and specifically because as a kid, you look forward to summer so much, and you got to see your friends, and you know what I mean? You got to hang out, and it fills up your cup for the entire year. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You've done a
Get a
good thing
ticket.
here, Morgan.
Well, thank you.
I don't know if you
appreciate
realize that yet, but
Well,
you did.
It sounds like it changes people's lives, which is what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as well as celebrate history and heritage and culture and all that stuff.
Well, should we wrap it up?
I think we should probably wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah.
We
This
got
has been
3 hours going here.
No. We did 3 hours last Monday. This is only 2-ish.
Okay. Well,
But I have a hard time keeping track of time myself. All right. Well, this has been episode 3 or 4,
5, 6.
5, 6.
It might be 5, 6, 7, 8.
This has been episode 4 of the Meandering Mixtape. I am Ryan of Tolt Records. And again, thank you, Travis, Last Light, Morgan of the famous Morgan Henley Presents, who
Thank you,
puts
buddy.
on the great festival that we have been talking about,
Brody Nation.
Brody Nation Music Festival, here in beautiful Carnation at Club Tolt. And actually, before we go, I have one. Can I just mention there's a sign up there that the first time I saw it, just I think embodied it. Says something along the lines of, if we catch you here at night, we'll catch you here in the morning, or something like that.
No, it's,
I mean, it's
people that are seen here at night will be seen in the
in
morning.
the morning,
or
yeah.
something.
And,
I can't
and it
remember
just
either.
goes. I mean, it's
Yeah. What is it, babe?
that's right.
Yes, anyone found here at night will be found here in the
Found here in
morning.
the morning.
And it's a perfect sign for the stage
Yeah.
and the whole event, for sure. No, when I found that sign, I was like, man,
Yeah.
this couldn't be much better.
Yeah, because
Thank you, Heidi.
Thanks, babe.
And so, if you find yourself here at Club Tolt, please, within the dates of Brody Nation, don't wander out here on your own. Buy a ticket. And if you find yourself here overnight, we will find you in the morning. We'll take care of you. You'll be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if
Definitely.
you plan to be here for just the day and you just don't want it to end, we'll sort it out in the morning with you. It's no big deal.
That's right. Definitely be responsible.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Respect the land.
Yes. Oh,
Respect
yeah.
the statues. Respect the ferns. Okay, that's a
Park
big
where you're
deal.
supposed to park. Don't park
River.
on the road, please.
Do not
Okay?
park on the road.
At
all
all,
wheels off the
ever.
road if you try. Just don't park on the road. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Because, yes, we have some problems.
And remember what you drove here. I guess we should say this. Remember what you drove here, potentially your license plate number, because if you are parked on the road, we will ask you to move.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
don't want to get called out on
Yeah.
the main stage. It's not fun for anybody. I don't
No,
enjoy it.
it's not fun.
So act right. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And 99% of the people do. Just
And
some
Yeah,
people
you
get
know,
forgetful. We'll
well,
remind you.
They get excited. It's fun. You see a lot of stuff here. It's a lot of fun. You forget your responsibilities, and You get called out on the stage, man. So
It happens, man. I don't like it, but you fuck up, dude. You're getting called out. Especially if you park like an idiot. It's my
it's
major
getting worse
pet
and worse.
peeve.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Bring your small
before
car.
you park, look around and ask yourself, am I parking like an idiot? And if any sense of answer comes back that suggests that you are, don't do it.
Yeah.
That's my advice. Just take a second, look where you're at.
yeah, but if you're gonna come for the day, if you are gonna come for the day, you just look at the schedule for the day and get here before the music starts. I'm gonna be
That
honest
helps.
with you.
That helps a lot.
Because you don't want to be showing up right when the music starts. There's so much to see. There's so much to take in, so much to understand that you're going to want to, again, you're going to want to come in and decompress a little bit and then accept the tunes and accept everything that's going to be thrown your way all day.
Hell yeah.
Excellent.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
Well, no,
I
thank you.
appreciate you taking the time
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
showcasing our beautiful hippie stage here.
I thought it was important to grab.
No, this is great.
It puts me on the stage for the first time. Really, I think the whole reason I did this podcast was to trick you into putting me on the stage.
I love it.
And
You know who would be most in love with this?
Oh, yeah.
who's that?
Henley.
Oh, yeah.
My dad would. He's smiling somewhere right now.
He's probably sitting over on that.
He always wanted to have his own radio show and do stuff like this on this stage. So shout out to the patriarch.
Well, this is
We're doing
certainly
it, Dad.
on-demand modern radio, I think. So
Can I motion that we just do this every time for the
Every
podcast?
time here?
I'm going to be honest with you.
during the
shorts
summer?
And the,
yeah,
During the
I mean,
summer,
the
that wouldn't be
hippie
bad.
stage out here in
it was nice to be
June.
outside.
Love it.
So,
Yeah.
One more thing.
Yeah.
There is a local discount code. So if you've made it to the end of this episode,
Yeah.
Oh,
you
man.
know about the code and you can hit me up.
So you're going to get a discount.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it on the air,
All right.
but there is a code. So if you can get a hold of me. I'm not hard to find.
He's usually in town.
Yes, I have a code for you
That's
A
nice.
discount code. Wow.
for locals. Yeah,
All right. For locals in the valley.
Snoqualmie Valley.
Well,
Upper
or,
and-
or
upper
for
and
those
lower.
that know Morgan and just ask for the code.
That's true too.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask me for codes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
All right.
Very
Well,
good.
Trav, good
All
job, buddy.
You too, man.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Air 5, Ryan.
And coming up, the Meandering Mixtape. After this episode, we will bring you the first 2 hours of the one that we recorded last week that went for 3 hours.
Please
Man,
tell,
I can't thank you guys enough. This is so much fun.
Please tell me you're affectionately naming it Wang Time.
Well,
I mean,
I
it's
don't
kind
know
of
if
a
we're ever
no-brainer.
going to get rid of that joke.
No, I
man.
think we should definitely use
The
it.
other thing, too, is we recorded this during the day, so I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it's not-
maybe we should start a little earlier
Yeah.
so we don't end up...
I like earlier more than 7 p.m.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
for sure.
Says the guys with no children and a family, for
Yeah.
Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Bring them along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
bring-
Oh, right.
That'd be great.
Bring them along.
All right, the never-ending Meandering Mixtape.
Well, Mandarin
Really
to
appreciate
another
everybody listening in. Again, you support us by listening. That's all we're looking for. Just listen. Tell your friends about us. Tell everybody you know. Tell everybody you don't know about the Meandering Mixtape. We would love to have all of you listening, and we would like feedback on the Meandering Mixtape. So I will be at Brody. I'll be probably wearing one of these shirts. Come up. Tell me how much you love or hate, or somewhere in between, the Meandering Mixtape. Because
If you come up to me, you better tell me you love it. That's all I'm going to tell
so
you.
just
All
go to
right?
Travis.
Yeah, I don't want to hear anything else.
Give him your best, and then come to me and tell me the truth. That's how that's going to work. And again, we will see you on the next episode.
Late.
See
Later.
y'all.